that's working. We'll call to order the September 7th, 2021 full City Council meeting. The clerk will call the roll to record attendance.
Anderson Burgos.
Here.
Bartley. Here. Graney.
He's here. Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Leahy.
I'm present.
LeBron Martinez.
Remember to unmute.
Lisi. Here. McGee.
Here.
McGivern.
Here.
Murphy. Sullivan.
Here.
Solomon.
Here.
Please stand
Bacon.
for the. Sorry. Please stand.
I'm
for
also
the
here.
minutes.
LeBron is here.
So Councilor Bartley, Councilor Byrne, Martinez are here.
Kind of.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
In the city of Holyoke.
And the city council.
And the sheriff.
Yeah. And speaking of the sheriff, we do
Sheriff's
have
in
a
town.
special guest tonight before we get started with the agenda. We had a proclamation done for Sheriff Nick Kochi and the staff. Councilor Bartley is escorting them in. And I'll have Councilor Bartley come up as the maker of the order.
No problem.
Okay, good evening, City Council, citizens of Holyoke. Welcome, one and all. This is a real honor for me to be here to present this to Sheriff Nick Kochi. It's really presented to Sheriff Kochi as well, to our friend Sheriff Mike Ash, who started this program. When I see my friend Joe here, when you see all the countless hours that is put in volunteer service to the City of Holyoke, it's incredible. One little anecdote, when the guys came up to, the former Ward 6 councilor and I cleaned up Scott's Tower, when you saw the guys come from the Hampden County Sheriff's Department, bringing in all that power tools and all their strength and all the rest of that, it was a sight to behold, and the work that we did there has not been forgotten, and hopefully one day we'll get a chance to do that again at Scott's Tower. But for right now, this proclamation says, be it resolved, the Holyoke City Council extends its congratulations to Sheriff Nick Kochi, spelled correctly, in recognition of leading the men and women of the Hampden County Sheriff's Department and providing countless hours of community service to the City of Holyoke, signed by the President of the City Council, the City Clerk of City of Holyoke, dated September 7th, 2021. Sheriff is going to come up and say a few words. Sheriff, congratulations. Can we? For heaven's sakes, do it once. All right, put it up.
Just very briefly, Councilor Bartley, thank you for this recognition, and to all the city councilors. To this great city of Holyoke, to the deep tradition of Holyoke. We're here to help. And Mr. Mayor, we want to continue to be part of this city in any way we can to show our citizens, your citizens, our citizens, that we want to walk with them. Whether it's in a community restitution project, whether it's in a cleanup project, if it's helping beautify certain areas of the city. That's what we do. We want to do it. We do it with offender labor as well. And it's the word restitution, because when some of our men and women are in the communities, they kind of at times can horrify and victimize some of the communities. But when they come to us, they also want to play a part in cleaning up, in supporting, in making that effort and going back to being productive citizens. So that's really what it's all about. Thank you so much. On behalf of all the Sheriff's Department staff, we appreciate your recognition. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, we'll just do some housekeeping and then get into the agenda. Pull the name, Counselor Lisi and I pull the name. So if there's roll calls, the first person I'll start with is Counselor Lisi. Also, I was told by Scott there may sometimes be some issues with the system here. They had a problem a little earlier today. So if he does come in and start waving at us, he might need a minute or two to catch back up. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that if he does come in. With that, we'll go into the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to remove from the table agenda item 1, please.
Motion is
A second.
moved for table item 1. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Committee on Ordinance was referred in order DBW install a stop sign at the end of Ridgeway Street where it meets, recommended that it be adopted by the city engineer.
Council Lisi?
And it was signed. So with that, Counselor Lisi.
Thank you. I think these had all passed and we were awaiting legal form at the last meeting, and I believe that we have the legal form now.
Yep.
So per the recommendation of the city engineer, it seems that a stop sign is in order here.
All right. Anyone further? Counselor
Yeah,
Bartley.
just thanks to the constituents up in that neighborhood. It's just to orient ourselves, it's directly across from HCC, and it's a street that runs parallel with Homestead. And the city engineer did great due diligence, the ordinance committee did great due diligence, and I thank one and all.
All right. So with that, motion is to receive and pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion would be to... Yep, go ahead.
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is to pass the second reading. All
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye. And motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the stop sign.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern. Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez. Yes. Unanimous vote.
For your vote, you approved item 1. Anything else for laid on the table? Item 2, item 3,
We'll go to item 5 if you're ready.
item 5.
I'll motion remove item 5 from the
Motion is
table, please.
move item
Second.
5. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Committee on Ordinance has referred that the DPW and Diabetes Committee remove the handicap sign at 7 Russell Terrace. Counselor Lisi.
Motion to receive the committee report and adopt.
Motion is receive and
Second.
adopt.
Second.
Or discussion?
Same.
Yeah, same.
Council Lisi, did you want to say, this is an easy one. So, yeah, just again, this is just from the abutters, and they determined that the house is vacant, and that the party who required it at that point has passed, and there's no longer a need for it, and there's a pretty heavy need for parking in that area. So I appreciate, again, the Disabilities Committee and the Ordinance Committee and the city engineer. Thank you.
Motion would be to, if I see no one else.
Receive the committee report, adopt, pass the first reading.
Motion is to pass the
Second.
first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion would be
Motion
to
to pass
pass the
second
second
reading.
reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the removal of the sign.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes, sorry.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I forgot Leahy.
Yes. Larry? Thank you.
Unanimous vote. Sorry, Jim.
That's okay.
Wait, your vote, approve that one. 6 would be another removal. You want to take that one off the table? That was a legal
Motion
form.
to take item 6 off the table.
Motion to take item 6 off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Committee on Ordinance was referred that the handicap sign be removed in the front of 143 Oak Street.
Motion to receive the committee report and adopt past the first reading.
Or discussion, or Councilor Lisi, or?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a removal of a handicap sign.
Okay, so seeing no one further, motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion is to pass
Motion
the
to pass the second
second.
reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman,
Aye.
All those, Councilor Graney?
just a quick question to the chair. What was the reason for the removal?
I'm sorry, because it was like 2 months ago now that we took this up. I don't have those notes in front of me. I believe that it was no longer needed because of either somebody moving or somebody passing on. It's an Oak Street address, so perhaps this was filed by Councilor Hernandez.
Just to Councilor Graney, it did come out of committee as a approval to remove after it was reviewed. The reason it was laid on the table is we didn't have the legal forms yet. So it did go through the process, so it must have been that the person's gone or it was requested to be removed.
So but I still don't have the reason why. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know,
Okay.
that was a couple months ago and it sat because of where we're having legal catch up on the legal form.
Okay.
Councilor
Yes.
Hernandez?
And it was requested to be removed because the person is gone.
Okay.
Person is,
The person is gone.
The person is gone.
thank you.
Yes.
So now we're at the motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the removal.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes?
McGivern. Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez. Yes. Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you pass that one.
Make a motion to take item number 4 off the table.
Motion is take item number 4.
Can we suspend the necessary rules and take up item number 4 with item number 11 as a package?
Second.
Motion is take up 4 and 11 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So 4 is the Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that the City Council raise the sewer fee to a minimum of 8.05 per 1,000 gallons in order to make certain enterprise funds no longer operate with a deficit, but also plan for an additional need of improvements. Recommended that the order be amended to $7.77 per 1,000. That's 4. 11 is a communication from our legal department with regards to what is required for the vote, which would be a majority vote to pass the rate.
Make a motion to suspend the rules to allow our city solicitor to give a brief explanation of the legal opinion.
A second.
Motion is
Second.
to suspend the rules to allow legal to speak on the memo as well as to answer questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? And I turn over to legal.
Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kathleen Degnan, and I did render a legal opinion because at the August 3rd meeting, there were questions about how this measure should pass, and I reviewed our ordinance, and I believe it was Chapter 90, Article 3, Division 1, Section 90-90, which indicates that the sewer rate, the city council establishes the sewer rate by an ordinance. And so that's what you have with you, combined with the legal opinion. And I think there was questions about the applicability of rules 35 and 45. And in my opinion, Rule 35 applies to appropriation or expenditures of money, which in my opinion, this is not. And Rule 45 applies to orders, but as I indicated, the code requires an ordinance passed by City Council. So, and Rules 37 and 38 set forth the procedure. So, and the procedure is that you have to have 2 votes, which must pass by majority, and then be ordained by a supermajority of 2/3. And that's pretty much in a nutshell.
Any questions for legal? Counselor McGivern.
Thank you, Attorney Deegan, and welcome, and thank you for your quick response on this. So our understanding is that the final vote to ordain is a 2/3 vote, as was argued at the full City Council, although I had a different opinion. But is that true for all ordinances that need to be passed by this body?
Yeah, if the city, yes, short answer is yes. If, particularly, I mean, here it was pretty easy because the code says the sewer rate has to be, has to be passed by City Council. So I think it depends on what the code says.
Well, you made reference to our rule.
Oh, yes, Rule 37. And yes, that sets forth the procedure for changing an ordinance. It's a little different from what I can see because the city solicitor's office put through an ordinance to establish the sewer rate. I understand that's not always the way it happens, but that's the way it happened here. And Rule 38 indicates, you have to have a motion to pass the first reading by majority, second reading by majority, and then motion to ordain supermajority. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. I just wanted to make sure for future reference, we're all on the same page. Personally, I don't agree with, I understand your ruling, I don't disagree with that, but I disagree with the rule, but that's my own opinion. Attorney Deegan, thank you. You wrote a good legal opinion very quickly, backed it up. I just have to ask, in order for a legal opinion to cover the City Council, it has to be endorsed by the city solicitor. Has our city solicitor endorsed your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, she did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Leahy.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you so much. I got a question regarding all the prior votes that we've taken. If it's 2/3, what happens to all the, the countless thousands of votes we've taken over my last 22 years? Are they voided or?
I'd have to get back to you on that. That's I don't have an answer for that. I've only just started just August 24th, so I don't have. You're talking about a lot of orders, I take it.
Yeah.
And I'd need to, if you could refer that question to the law department, maybe I can answer that specifically.
No, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. I'm just trying to think out loud and saying, procedurally, we've taken thousands of votes and such. So I'm just curious to see if somebody can argue to have it overturned. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Lisi.
Thank you. So thank you so much for your legal opinion and the work that you put into that. It seems, according to the research that I've done, that there was a rule change on that Rule 38 on December of 2014. So at some point we did change the passage of an ordinance to a supermajority. And before that, we were, even after that, until very recently, we were still using the simple majority. So I think that's where Councilor Leahy's question comes from. But I think more importantly, one of the questions that was put in front of the legal department after the last meeting, I think our acting mayor, Councilor Murphy, really asked if it was appropriate for the city council to have a rule that superseded like Mass General law for how an ordinance gets passed. So are you prepared to speak to that at all? Or do we know if Mass General law says anything about how an ordinance gets passed?
Actually, that's something I didn't know, that there was a rule change in 2014. That's good to know. And I'd like the opportunity to look. You're right, I'm not prepared to speak on that right now, but I can look into the question for you and give you a response timely.
Right, thank you so much for that. And if it helps at all, I'd be willing to file an order to revert the rule change to the simple majority, because I think a supermajority on most items in city council is a bit excessive, especially for a very large board like we have. I mean, previously it was 15 people, now we're 13 people. But to build supermajorities, it's very difficult, and in that case, very, difficult to make things happen and to see things change over time.
Mm-hmm. I understand. I'm just, with respect to this rule change, I don't have it in front of me. What was it changed to us? Was the rule that I'm citing, Rule 38, was that what was changed?
Yes, it was changed. There was no, the ordinance was somewhat silent. I'll send you the two versions of the rules that I have. One is pre-2014 and one is a draft that says 12/8/2014, and we could take it from there.
Thank you very much, Councilor. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilor Graney?
Yeah, Mr. President, or to Attorney, this is a special case on this particular ordinance, as you mentioned, that we're dealing with tonight. The other things you can research and get back to us on, but as far as this ordinance is concerned, we're in the right. It is a supermajority to pass that ordinance, correct?
Yes.
I apologize. I didn't get all of that, Councilor.
The ordinance that we're dealing with tonight, number 4,
Mm-hmm.
it is a supermajority to have that ordained. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then the rest of this you can research and get back to us on. Thank you.
Hold on one second. Attorney Bissonnette had his hand up for something. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one comment with regard to Councilor Leahy's question about state law dictating several statutes with regard to zoning. Pay particular attention to that question as to whether majority is sufficient or whether 2/3 body is required. By way of note, they've just switched somewhere on the order of 10 various zoning provisions, mostly having to do with multifamily housing and other housing opportunities, to require only a majority in areas that are very dense, such as some of our Holyoke neighborhoods. That's something to be looking at with regard to work with the planning board in the future, but there is state provisions that only require a majority to change it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do two things. I think we could talk about this all night, but I'm gonna make a suggestion that we pass the first reading and then pass the second reading and then get to the vote on whether or not we do a supermajority or not. I will say I've had conversation with our bond counsel again since the last time we met. We talked about our bonding capacity. We talked about our bond rating. I would say the only issue that continued to come up is the enterprise fund for the sewer going to be balanced? That question came up 3 or 4 times in our conversation. In her opinion, until that is, we are not going to get the bond rating that we potentially really could be earning. So I just want that to be noted. I also would say that as of right now, I mean, our collection has gone up a little bit. and I have looked into liens, and we are doing liens. Hasn't been too successful, but we have done it. If we pass this tonight, we have already forfeited, if you will, 2 months of billing. We would just about be at balance for this year. If the longer we wait, we will end up again being in deficit. Even if we had 100% collection, we would be in deficit. So at some point, if we want to have our bond rating be as good as it can be, we need to raise it, and this is the minimal rate to do that. And at this point, again, we're actively, aggressively pursuing. I think we're at 95 or 95.5%, something along that lines, and it's gone up, and we continue to pursue it. But at some point, we need to act. So thank you.
Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just from a point of information, Mayor Murphy's arguments I agree with, but I think procedurally, we've already taken those votes. I believe we painstakingly took several votes, but this was the first vote that was challenged because it was the first vote that reached 7 votes. And I don't think it's a change of a vote, although I would love to be able to change the vote that's procedurally in front of us. I think we tabled it because of the point of order and of the request for a legal opinion. This vote doesn't go away. It's going to stand at 7-6 as long as, forever. And at 7-6 at the moment, according to the legal opinion endorsed by the city solicitor, it fails. Not knowing that Attorney Deegan is new to us and knowing that I'm not sure what her sense of humor is, I was going to say it's actually a $1 million opinion that we got this evening. But I'm going to say our rule change of Rule 38 was $1 million change, because the deficit isn't what's going on this year. The deficit is what happened last year, and it still stands at over $1 million that's going to come out of free cash. I mean, that's it. We had a chance to lower that deficit. We had a chance to not force the taxpayers of West Holyoke and Smiths Ferry, who are not on the sewer line, to have to pay for sewer costs. We had a chance to do all that, and it failed. And I don't know why we changed it to and supermajority, I believe, is the wrong terminology, although in the opinion it's correct where it says 2/3 majority. Supermajority is when taxpayers file a petition on a zone change and it goes up from 2/3 to a supermajority, which I believe is 10 or 11. I'm not sure exactly. When it was,
I think it's 11.
With 15 of us, it was 10. It was 10 at that time.
No, it's 9.
But I'm just asking procedurally. I believe we've already taken this vote.
You did.
Hold on. Councilor Bartley, then Councilor Vacan.
I'll go after Councilor Vacan.
Councilor Vacan.
I would just note, just as a point of information, that the rate that received the most votes at the last meeting was the 750, which received 8 votes. And I would further note that the West Holyoke taxpayers have been balancing the sewer fund for 3+ years. This is not a new occurrence. And they want their neighbors to get a fair rate. They don't want their neighbors to get run out of the city any more than they want to keep paying for something they can't receive. So I think it's incumbent upon us to come to a compromise, which so far we haven't been able to do. The closest we got was on the 750. Thank you.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I just want to compliment Joe because he's right on as per usual. So this 2/3 is not a supermajority. 4/5 is a supermajority. So that's one. Second of all, to the wise counsel, and we have a lot of good lawyers here tonight. So let's think about this in context about procedure, Mr. President, if we could. The planning board just last month took a vote, and the vote was 3-2. And this is Mass General Law to my friend, the former Mayor Chicopee. The vote was 3-2, and it failed. It failed because you needed a vote of 4-1. And this is in reference to what happened up at 4/5 vote. This is what reference what happened at the log cabin with the Dunkin' Donuts. So let's not talk about oh, well, you know, there's a majority here. This is, first of all, this is ordinance. And to my friend, my fellow attorney, Attorney Degnan, let me be clear on this. 95% of our votes are unanimous or within or 1 or 2 nays. There is a fraction, we can't deny it, where there's going to be controversy. And this is why you have 2/3 votes. Because it's that important. So I don't want to hear about, well, you know, something's a majority in Boston. I don't care. Because Boston determined what happened at the planning board to make a 4/5 vote. So don't tell me majority that is not the call of the day. It depends. The last thing is, Mr. President, that we darn well can make something that supersedes what they do in Boston. We all know this as legislators. We all know it. We can't undercut what they have in Boston. So, for example, if Boston says 2/3, we can't then say majority. We can't say that. Just like I gave the example with the planning department in chapter 40A, I think it is. Boston said 4/5. Well, the log cabin can't go back and say, well, wait a minute. We won the vote 3-2. No, Boston says it's got to be 4-1. So let's put all that into context when we're thinking about procedure. Oh, give your dog a treat that deserves it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, I'll again put the motion out that we take the ordinance that we were given from the law department with the 777 rate and pass the first reading. And again, I'm going to say
motion to go to the first ballot.
Okay.
So 4 was taken off the table. It was laid on the table. It's been taken off, debating it. So now the motion is to receive
item number 11 with the, I believe it's.
We did that. So you're
And I wanna-
back to 4 though.
Yep, and I
You wanna
want
be-
the ordinance that was provided by the law department.
Yep.
Which relates to the committee recommendation, item 4, that we pass the first reading.
So motion is to receive and pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Yep. Councilor McGarry. We took several votes, but never came to a final vote, and we tabled it.
And we never had an ordinance in front of us.
And we never had the ordinance. So now we have
Before you have a vote.
the legal opinion regarding.
We have legal language, Todd? We got legal form, I mean?
Yep,
But
Okay, that's all I need.
it came with the opinion.
Oh, the last page. Thank you, Terry.
Yep.
Just got to scroll next time.
Yep, it's there. So it's in ordinance, and legal form is there. So it was tabled, so we're taking it from the table to act on it. So motion from Councilor Murphy is to receive and pass the first reading.
Yep.
Is there a second?
A second?
I hear a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
no.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Well, hold on.
Second.
I don't even know if you've passed the first reading.
okay.
Show of hands, if you're voting in favor of passing the first reading, raise your hand.
And a point of information, Mr.
Councilor Bacon.
President?
Yep.
That the rate is 777. That
Yeah,
hasn't
so
been stated.
just to be clear, thank you, Councilor Bacon. The legal form is in tandem with what was recommended from the committee.
Correct.
Of 777 per 1,000.
And a further point of information, the committee did not recommend a rate.
I'm just reading what
I'm
came out of
just
committee.
saying, as a
Okay.
point of information.
All right, so what came out of committee was the 777 per 1,000. That is what is in the ordinance that was provided by legal. Right?
Same.
Make it. So now, show of hands if you want to pass the first reading. 1, 2, 3, 4, online. 5. I only see 5, so it doesn't pass the first reading. I saw Councilor Lisi's hand up. I didn't see anyone else's hand.
Did Councilor Anderson Burgo's hand wasn't up? I thought his hand was up. No? Yeah,
Yes,
it was up.
La-
6.
Yes, it was
Gladys
up.
too.
And Councilor LeBron Martinez?
Councilor LeBron.
All right, so once again, if you're voting in favor, first reading, raise your hand. I got to do it by looking at the computer and the room. So online, I see Councilor Lisi, Councilor Ron Martinez, Councilor Anderson Burgos. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would pass the first reading.
Okay, make a motion we pass the second reading?
Motion is to pass the second reading. That was seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that'd be the same 7, I'm assuming, unless I'm wrong. All right.
Make a motion to be passed to be ordained?
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the 777 per thousand.
Are we allowed to comment still or no?
No, because now it's going
Okay.
to the vote.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
No?
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Nope.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
No.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Graney,
No.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
No.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
7 yeas, 6 nays.
All right, so that doesn't pass. Need the 9. So now we're,
I'm going to make a motion we lay it on the table.
Second.
motion would be to reconsider and then lay on the table. Counselor Murphy?
Sure.
All right, motion is to reconsider. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's so that has it. Motion is to lay on the table. Is there a second to that?
Second. But
All the, no discussion for laying on the table. All those in
I
favor?
have a legal opinion request, not a
Okay,
discussion.
yep. What's the
With the rule, with the opinion that we have in front of us about laying on the table, how does that play with laying this back on the table, or do we have to refer it back to committee?
And we did suspend the rules already, so Attorney Bissonette, or I'm not sure who's left in the legal. Did they leave, or
Attorney Degnan.
Item 13.
did we lose them?
Yeah, I am here, and I'm sorry, I apologize, Counselor Bartley. What, could you repeat that, please, your question?
That was Councilor McGivern. That's the other Irishman.
Attorney Deegan, we had a legal opinion, the second time we've had this from the city solicitor. It addresses an item that's laid on the table and makes a reference to Robert's rules that after X amount of time, that item is dead and needs to be refiled. My question is, this item was laid on the table at our last full city council meeting, was taken up for discussion tonight, was voted on this evening, reconsidered, and now there's a motion to table it. Is that start the process over, and will we be allowed to take this up at our next meeting?
Would you like me to take that?
Yeah, Mike, I'd appreciate it.
Talked about this a little bit earlier, about the earlier opinion, the 65-day opinion, Counselor McGivern. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
Yeah, it would restart the clock with tonight's action at 65 days. That was based on the opinion that was requested, I believe, by Councilor Bacon with regard to using Robert's rules to determine the interval between filing of the document, referral to ordinance, and action by the council. The action tonight would be a new starting of the clock because of the opinion rendered by Attorney Degnan, plus the filing of the ordinance as to form. So that was voted down on third reading, taken by a majority vote of reconsideration, and then a majority vote to lay upon the table where it sits now.
Thank you, Attorney Bissonette.
Counselor Bacon, a question for the attorney?
I just have, a point of order, because if we're tabling it to simply not vote on the matter, that seems to be a questionable reason to table. I mean, if we're waiting for information or we're waiting for something that we need to know, it just seems that right now, the motion to table is simply because we don't want to deal with it. So our job is to deal with it till we come up with an answer. So I guess the question would be, and the other opinions we've received in the past referred to the reason for the tabling. And I guess I'd like to understand why we are tabling it. We took one vote so far tonight. Thank you.
It was just a motion to table. I didn't hear a reason. It was seconded. Councilor McGivern?
The reason is the second part of the legal opinion Mayor Murphy asked in reference to a local rule of the city council superseding a state law or charter, state law in this case.
Okay, so with that, it is to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All right. With that, we move on to
Item 7, 8, and 9 be referred to the Public Service Committee.
Public comment?
Oh, public comment, thank
sorry.
you. I was looking for my agenda.
Catch Pete.
Sorry,
Is
Council.
there anyone
Gotta be
here-
ready, right?
We'll do it first. Anyone in the chamber who wanted to sign up for public comment? All right, so come up to the mic. And what we'll do is name, address. Is it working?
Test.
Perfect. And just as a reminder for those who are in the chamber, and then we'll go to the ones that are online, it's a minute and a half. If you're not a Holyoke resident, let us know. We'll suspend the rules and allow you to speak. So with that, name, address, and we turn it over to you.
Good evening, City Councilors. My name is John Rivera, and I live on 2 Laurel Street. And I'll start off by thanking you all for 2 things that, although I consider the bare minimum, are necessary for the inclusion of the other half of the population that lives in Holyoke. And thank you for the Spanish interpretation, and thank you for continuing that to our city announcements. Now, on a bit more of a grim note, we stand on the land where the greatest genocide in human history occurred. Currently, I'm restudying this book called Harvests of Empires by Juan Gonzalez from a major at HCC, Latinx Studies. Now, I won't go into too much detail since I'm not an educator, but I do think that you all here should analyze this book that accounts the horrors of colonialism and the effects of imperialism. In a city where 52% of the population is the descendants of Tainos who have become extinct or assimilated, you are doing a disservice to your constituents to which you will rue. Voting against changing the holiday of a mass murderer leaves behind a messy legacy. This is on the behalf of late item B. Thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you. Anyone else in the chamber? Hearing no one. Anyone online? Elizabeth Caridi, online. Are you there, Elizabeth?
I am here trying to get, that is not me. I'm going to stop my video here. So my name is Elizabeth Caridi Ramirez, and my address is 205 Bemis Road in Holyoke. And I'm also responding to the same item that John Rivera just so eloquently responded to. And also I wanted to thank the council for having Spanish interpretation. That's wonderful, especially in light of what we're talking about today. So I wanted to respond to a letter that circulated to City Council from a Mr. Gallo. I found this letter frightening, ignorant, full of mistakes. And I just wanted to correct them for the record since all of the counselors have seen this. First, I want to refute his main premise, which is the doctrine of discovery. If I walk into one of the city councilors' houses, and I say, oh, this is wonderful. We never saw this before. We didn't even know it existed. And I brought all my friends in and claimed it. I'm sure you would realize that's ridiculous. Well, just because it happened 500 years ago, it's no less ridiculous. You cannot go into a homeland that other people inhabit and have for thousands of years and claim it for your own. The entire doctrine of discovery is faulty. Next, I want to correct something that he said about a quote from Neil Tyson deGrasse, who he said that he described Columbus's so-called discovery as the greatest event for human history. That's not what he said. He said it was the most significant event.
Just a heads up, we're at 1:30, so a little more.
So I agree that it was significant, but it was not great. In previous meetings, I have stated that I'm Italian American, very proudly so. I would love if this were genuine and really about Italians. Let's take the month of October, which is Italian American Heritage Month, and let's have some wonderful celebrations. I haven't seen any of the counselors who oppose this measure in the first place suggest any kind of celebrations for Italian Americans. So if you want to celebrate me, wonderful, but don't use my heritage as a cover to celebrate a mass murderer and someone who committed genocide on our land. Thank you very much.
Erin Callahan.
Hi there.
Good evening.
Hi guys. My name's Erin Callahan. I'm from 60 Old Jarvis Avenue. I just want to make 2 points. This is also about late item B. I'm also really uncomfortable with an outside group like the Sons and Daughters of Italy coming into Holyoke, a primarily Irish and Puerto Rican community, and telling us what we should or should not celebrate. This is about local control, and the people of Holyoke have decided that they would rather celebrate the contributions of Indigenous people than a genocidal maniac who started a slave trade. And that's our right to do. The Sons and Daughters of Italy can go celebrate whatever they want in the North End, but this is where we live and this is what we want to do. My second point is that I just want to speak to the 3 opposition people that don't want to change this holiday. I used to be one of you. I used to say to myself, oh, you know, you sure like living in America, don't you? You got to get over it. It's dumb. We were wrong. There are lots of people that we used to celebrate that we found out are rapists, and we can't just keep doing things that are wrong just because we like the outcome. We have plenty of things that we can celebrate, and if the Irish community wants us to celebrate one of the heroes that does not have such a checkered past, I will support that. But the people of Holyoke want Indigenous Peoples Day, and it's been asked and answered, and I hope that you guys follow through and change this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Andres?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Andres Arthin, and I am president of the European Congress of Ethnic Religions. I also served on the board of directors of the Parliament of the World's Religions for 13 years.
Andres, you need an address? Need an address?
Yes? Address. I am not a resident of Holyoke.
All right, so motion would be to suspend the rules to allow non-Holyoke.
What
Make
is
a motion to suspend the rules.
Yeah, what's the address?
I live in Worthington.
So all those in favor first on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Now, what is your address?
I live in Worthington.
Yeah, we just need the address for our records.
Oh, 14 Pleasant Street.
Okay, thank you. And turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, in the course of my work, I have had the opportunity to talk with dozens of Indigenous elders and leaders and community activists, both in the US and Canada, in other parts of the American continent. Every single one of them has told me how hurtful it is for them to see year after year the celebration of a man who was the one who began the genocide that all but destroyed their peoples and their cultures. This is, we all learned in school, you know, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and all of those other things. Well, that was a history that was written by white Christian men who were in a position to control the narrative, and they excluded any kind of history of Indigenous peoples or African peoples, and they glorified the European conquest. And it's only been in the last 5 decades or so that the histories of indigenous people and of African peoples who were brought here as slaves has started to be told from their own point of view. One thing that history,
Andres,
traditional
just let
history
you know
that we
you're
learned.
close to your time.
Okay, omitted was that Columbus himself was put in chains and arrested and sent back to Spain because of his cruel and inhuman treatment of indigenous peoples. So he's not the hero that traditionally we've learned him to be, and instead he was a profiteer and an opportunist, and I urge you to please change the name of the celebration to Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, that is it for online and in the chamber. That would end public comment. We now go to
Make a motion items 7, 8, and 9 be referred to public service.
So 7, 8, and 9, suspend
Second.
the rules, take up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 7 is for Conservation Commission appointment, Ms. Gazzello, if I say that correctly. 8 is Mr. Machado for the Citizens Advisory Committee. And 9 is Terry Gibson for the Citizens Advisory Committee. All those to public service?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Councilor McGee?
Councilor Leahy.
Can I just ask the good honorable city council to offer a moment of silence for, Holyoke's, legend, Jimmy Kern, who passed away just recently?
Oh, absolutely. So a moment of silence for Mr. Kern, please. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilor Graney.
may I ask the council to offer a moment of silence for the 13 military people who gave their lives in the service of their country in Afghanistan. They're true heroes of America, and I would appreciate us recognizing them with a moment of silence.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilor Graney. Councilor Leahy. With that,
Mr. President, before we move on in the agenda, there's one other item that we have legal form for that's laying on the table that we have not yet taken up. It's item number 3.
Oh, 3, that's right.
So motion to take it up off the table.
Motion is take item 3. All those in favor?
Aye.
So that one is the Committee on Ordinance, who has referred that no parking on the S curb turn on O'Connor Ave. Recommend that that be adopted as well. Under discussion, Councilor.
Receive, adopt, and pass the first reading.
All right, motion is to adopt, pass the first reading. Under discussion.
Thank you. I believe this was filed by Councilor Hernandez. Because there's a sharp S-shaped turn on O'Connor Avenue, the emergency vehicles had some concerns about their ability to pass through the street, and I believe that's where the request to remove parking came from. And I know that the engineer worked very closely with Councilor Hernandez to figure out where exactly the no parking would go. We have it in legal form now, and if Councilor Hernandez wants to add anything to this committee report, I welcome her remarks.
Councilor Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Councilor Lisi. Yes, basically, we've been dealing with this. I think this is one of the first orders that I filed when I first became councilor, so I'm happy to see it that after a dedication to the study, it finally has come in legal form, and we can move forward with taking out those parkings there to ensure that large vehicles and emergency vehicles can come through in case of an emergency, which now, the way that it is and with cars parked there, vehicles have had to reverse back out of the area. And so this is why this was brought forward for safety, and I'm hoping that we can move forward with getting this done finally. Thank you.
Anyone further? Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I don't know if residents had a chance to provide input to this. My guess is probably not. It wasn't a public hearing. I don't know if anybody noticed the residents to tell them that they're going to lose 2 parking spaces in a street that's incredibly tight. So I hope there's a backup plan on where they can park with this. I don't remember getting a communication from the fire department. I'll stand corrected if one came through, but I don't remember getting a communication from any public safety department on that. It's a very unique thoroughfare for sure, and it's a really tight, dense area. I would have thought that perhaps a better way would have made it a one-way street, to make it one way or the other, and to have parking limited to one side of the street only. I know that takes more of an effort, but I would have thought that might have been a better play than just limiting two parking spaces and keeping it a two-way. Consequently, I'm not going to vote to support this. Thank you.
Councilor Hernandez.
Yes, I have to disagree with the counselor here because actually I have pictures that show a fire truck that cannot get through the area, and I've been in contact with residents there in that area. I know that there was some alleviation of parking spots when we had a petition to have a driveway put in that area, so that alleviated some parking spots that no longer park on the street. But even so, it wasn't enough to clear and provide that clearance in that S shape. And I did take in consideration residents. This is why the order was put in place to begin with, because of residents calling in to say that they fear for their safety on emergency vehicles not being able to go through. And we had our department, which was the DPW and the engineers, study the area and recommend that those spaces be taken out to avoid this issue. So I would implore all of my other colleagues here to vote in support, because our constituents and residents is our first priority. Thank you.
See no one further. So the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. Oh, hold on one second. There's a little background. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the ordinance change.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
No.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy, LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
With your vote, you approve the change. Next is item 10, which is the regular meeting for August 3rd, 2021. Motion would be to, motion would be to receive these. Any changes, any requests?
She thinks she said.
Did you miss up? Where are you, Todd?
We're on 10. We took up 7, 8, 9 as a package, referred those to public service.
Motion to receive?
So 10 is the minutes of the meeting. We'll catch everyone up for August 3rd, 2021.
Second.
So
Discussion?
motion, yeah, Councilor Bartley.
Compliments, because they're really good minutes, so I appreciate, and I like the timestamp, and they really are, they're probably a little more detailed than what I'm used to, but I appreciate the effort by everybody. Thank you.
The motion is to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We already did 11. 12 is a legal opinion regarding amending zoning ordinances by automatic right.
Receive and refer to ordinance.
Motion is received, send to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 13 is another legal opinion regarding tabling an item.
Receive, refer to charter and rules.
Motion is received, refer to charter and
Second.
rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 14 is from the Office of Planning and Development regarding 532 Main Street.
Boy, what is this, Todd?
So this is
it?
Planning has the opportunity to review materials received on May 25th, 2021 for a special permit for the redevelopment of a 13,000 square foot second floor of a building located at 532 Main Street.
Is it for marijuana?
Yep.
Yep.
For marijuana?
So to ordinance?
Ordinance.
Yeah, 14 and 15th ordinance.
15, take up as a package, suspend the rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 15
Aye.
is for 89 South Street. So both to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
16 is the
Be received.
is
Motion-
the American
motion
Rescue
receive.
Plan Act. You should everyone should have gotten a copy of that. Motion is to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
17 is the Fire Commission
Receive.
minutes
What's
for
to receive?
June 17th and July 29. Motion is to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 18 is a resident petition for Norwood
safety.
Terrace. This would be to
Public safety?
Like safe.
public safety. All those.
Second.
Counselor McGivern.
Murphy.
Sorry.
Sometimes I don't know who I am.
It's the mask. It's.
So we're
Starts with an
on
M.
item 18, right?
This is
Norwood-
18. Yes.
So, first of all, I want to thank the petitioners for putting this together, and I also want to ask any counselors. I know I've gone through one or two streets where people have recommended sidewalks, and I'm trying to work with the DPW and the city engineer to work on some sidewalks that are really in bad shape. But if you can give me that information, pretty much in the next 2 weeks, we can potentially put something together so that these sidewalks could potentially get done this fall. And, you know, one of my goals in my time there is to try to make sure that when we have, and this obviously is a case where it's been neglected for a long time, when we have those kind of things, we need to take care of them, and we need to find the resources. So, you know, I've talked a little bit, I know we're talking Chapter 90 and a few other things, but we're also talking, if we need to, we got some bonding capacity, although not as much as I had originally hoped. But I know I've walked Brown Avenue, and that is one that, you know, originally was heard that it might be in need of it. It's definitely in need of it, and I want to wait till I get it 3 or 4 different sidewalks so we can put a package together that makes more sense from a financial capacity. So if you have streets and sidewalks, and I'm certainly going to include this petition from Norwood Terrace as I meet with the engineer and the DPW so that we can plan it out. So if you have sidewalks that need to be repaired, please let me know as soon as possible. And I'm going to try to do my best to make sure that they get paved.
Counselor Vacan, then Counselor
you.
Bartley.
Through the president to Mayor Murphy, would the sidewalks that are asphalt out in 5 qualify under the Chapter 90 in the same way that the more traditional sidewalks do?
I would not be the one to answer that, but I can ask that question. So, and even if they are not, what I'm trying to do is balance the funds that we got that we can do certain things with in Chapter 90, and then knowing we have other issues in terms of sidewalks or roads, I'm trying to come up with either a small bond to be able to pay for some of those. I know, and I didn't have a chance to read any, I had an email from the city engineer today about Chapter 90 and doing some sidewalks, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay, so you have.
So whatever,
you have
if you
1.5
have a
into-
sidewalk that is not in good shape, I would like to know, and then we can go out there and he'll
Right.
tell me, you know, this is eligible for Chapter 90 and we can do this, and this is the estimated cost. The reason I need it relatively soon is because they go out and they actually give me, just like we did on Northampton Street in terms of repaving the roadway, they went out and they gave me what the potential cost would be so that we could have an accurate bond. But again, I just want to make sure that whatever, and Norwood Terrace is a perfect example of things that have been neglected, and we have to make sure we take care of them. So,
Right.
I mean, quality of life issues
Yeah. I just asked
need to
because
be a
out there-
priority.
Yeah, there's few sidewalks, but they're almost all really old asphalt. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, again, I can take the engineer up there. I would gladly, as you know, I would gladly go up there and take a look with the engineer and see what we can do, so.
Yes, thank you.
Counselor Bartley, then
Yeah.
Counselor Graney.
Yeah, just through the chair of the acting mayor, there's no question, Terry went over to Brown Avenue and saw the
east side of Brown Avenue by Mr. Hunter's house, so we boshed back. We all know where that is, so total disaster. And then if I could, I'm going to add on, Westfield Road across from Mayor Soskovic's house, all the way up the hill to at least to Michigan Avenue, where Joe is, and then even beyond that, that's all asphalt, and that sidewalk is goofy. And then and you can tell with it, especially when road race time, you get a lot of runners going up there too, and it's a hazard for sure. And the other one, a constituent reached out to me, if I could, through the chair to acting mayor, is on Gilman. So Gilman and Clark, half of the street was done, both of them, half was not done. So if those could be considered going forward, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Graney.
Through the chair to acting mayor, I've been harping on Woods Avenue now for 6 months to a year. There's beautiful concrete sidewalks from Francis Avenue at the top of Woods at the hill, and beautiful concrete sidewalks on Hillside that connect as an asphalt sidewalk that's in disrepair, and the other side of the street has no sidewalk on it. It's just empty grass. And like I say, I've seen women with baby carriages coming down in the middle of the road of Woods Avenue from that small connect from Hillside to the top of Woods Avenue to Francis Avenue. So I'd appreciate that being considered as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, thank you through the president to Mayor Murphy. There is a couple areas I've noticed up on Northampton Street there, that with pavement. I'll get the exact street between streets, and it is like an asphalt. And some of them where trees were uprooting the sidewalk where people often walk. But I will get you the address, and if there's a couple others I can think of, because sometimes you're taking a walk, you don't realize it when you're driving, but when you're walking it, that people walk up and down Northampton Street all the time. There's some areas that are difficult, but we did get a message from Jeffrey, and he did ask us to, that was about a month ago, to try to get some sidewalks together. So I will work on that and get that to you by the end of the week.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And there are some things, I know Councilor McGee knows, that are part of a long-term plan in terms of doing that. So, but I mean, in areas where I know it's a danger right now, like Northampton Street and the roadway, we're taking care of that with a 3 or 4 year patch, if you will. Right now, I've heard 2023 or 2024 for completion of the roadway and the walkway. So, I mean, if we know what they are, we have it, and obviously I'll defer to the city engineer in terms of what's the most critical ones to do, and let's get those done. But, I mean, his expertise is far beyond mine, but I definitely will bring him to his attention. And I would appreciate whatever you give me, we'll try to make sure it gets looked at. And if possible, acted on.
Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mayor, for paying attention to detail. Greatly appreciated. I know everyone in this room has filed things over the years. Sometimes they're taken care of, and sometimes they get put on a wait list. If we're doing asphalt sidewalks and we're doing Northampton Street temporary before the big state fix, I suggest that there's some potholes out there that could use some hot asphalt, Vassar Circle, and there's 2 on Hitchcock Street that I hit every morning because I have nowhere to go but into them. But if we could...
we like them because they slow you down, Joe.
Well, I always go slow in Hitchcock, just like I do on Michigan, Councilor Bartley.
Well, we're getting the speed humps up there, Joe.
I had to tell the neighbors they're coming.
They're coming.
Told me Mr. Parent told me they're almost ready to put the temps in.
All right, so with that 18 is going to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 19 is a communication from Wally. You want that to go to?
Receive?
Just receive.
Finance?
Finance?
No,
Receive and send to finance?
Oh, I think.
Yep,
Oh,
Councilor Murphy.
I think Dave, we're just in finance.
We have a report coming out this evening
Just
that will
Adam.
be
Just
complied
receive it.
with. I think this might be an answer to some questions
Yes.
that were asked at, I didn't get a copy of this, my fault, I didn't print it. But I think it just might be an answer to questions that were asked in finance.
Joe, if I could through the chair, is it the contract that I was requesting? If you don't know, it's that.
I'm not 100% sure,
All right.
Councilor, but
We'll
I
find
think
out
so.
later.
I'm hearing yes, it is the contract.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
All right, so maybe Jeffrey, if I could, whoever else wants one to, if I could have a copy of that?
I can give you this one, Jim. I got
So
no.
that one is to receive.
You can keep yours. You'll get it.
It was sent with the package, but we can resend it, make sure you got it. So motion is to receive that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 20 is from regarding Open Square Properties and Open Square LLC letter in regards to a potential MME and expressing legal objections to MME.
Yeah, motion
Ordinance.
receive and
Receive, send to ordinance,
ordinance.
please.
To ordinance, so,
Under discussion?
so this is going to go to ordinance. Our discussion, Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, so we had a well, I sat here in my little chair and observed that meeting last week on this particular order, and I'll tell you, you want to watch a gong show. That was tabled, and then we had a councilor saying, "Well, I switched my vote," and then we had the chair saying, "Well, you got to do a motion to reconsider." I mean, and then they reconsidered it, and then it went back and forth at least a half dozen times, and finally they tabled it. Thank goodness cooler has prevailed, because if you read the letter by Attorney Farber, now Larry Farber has been practicing law longer than most of us have been alive, and while there's a ton of hyperbole in there, boy, Larry Farber doesn't play. So I'm just going to suggest that the committee closely read this legal opinion before you start taking any votes on this particular order. So I'm very glad it got tabled in committee. You know, fortunately, cooler has prevailed, like I said, and it's there. And now you can take a look at the whole thing from the other perspective. One more thing, Mr. President, if I may.
Yep.
I have to say, and I said it that night. You know, how many times when I was on ordinance, I can't say how many. Is it? We had at least 30. When we had somebody come in and make an investment, we always said, "Thank you for the investment." And we heard that night from Mr. Robin on what's happening at Open Square. Boy, Mr. President, you're talking about, I mean, if even half of that comes to fruition, that is really exciting. I'm just going to make two small points. The IG, you know, we've seen other orders about having marijuana go all over the city. That is in the IG. And he said there's 200,000 square feet of IG space in those mill buildings. 200,000 square feet. Holy Toledo. So let's try to fill that up first. The second thing, and it just really, a bakery's coming in, Mr. President. Yeah, maybe a 100-room hotel. I mean, like I said, you know, I know a lot, and then he's got $500,000. He said that he's already going to fire into that building in the next year for other projects. I mean, this is pretty exciting. The last thing I'll say, I can't help it. I can't help myself. But he said he hasn't been this excited about development in Holyoke in 10 to 12 years. So we can all do the math, right? So, but I just want to say that, again, through the chair to Mr. Robin, thank you.
Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing me. I will say this. I praise businesses that come to do business in Holyoke. I appreciate them very much. But I also, at the same time, when one of the employees from such business disrespects my community by saying, well, we already have a bad rep with flats. You're talking about my people, okay? And when you do that, I'm not gonna praise you. I'm not gonna praise you when you're degrading my people, okay? So you wanna praise something? Praise and uplift the Latinos from this community. Why don't you try doing that, huh? Maybe we'll get somewhere someday, instead of bickering back and forth with all this nonsense. Oh, hear me, hear me, hear me. You always have comments, these negative comments. But when it comes to uplifting a community, you are not there. So please don't go praising a business when that same business disregards my people in such a manner that is disrespectful. So thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. I just want to point out that this is a letter in regards to a particular application, and the appropriate space to hear this letter and the comments here would be during the public comment period for the application when it comes up. What was before us last week at the ordinance committee was really an order that I filed to correct two Scribner's errors that happened in the translation of what we passed in committee, what we felt as a body we were passing based on the committee reports, and then the language that wound up in the final ordinance. So while the item that needed to be corrected related to the setback requirements and buffer zones related to manufacturing, that was not what was advertised directly, and so I felt that there was a disadvantage for any community members who were interested in talking about the setback requirements for manufacturing in any zone. One person came forward and made some comments, and I felt that they were legitimate comments, but that there was a disadvantage to anyone else, either in the industry or in the community or related to, you know, Asthma Coalition and air quality advocates, if there were some real concerns about air quality. I even offered to file another order to have that discussion be aired publicly and advertised in a manner where it could, you know, garner a significant amount of public input. But there were others that felt that, you know, the boss was in the room and they wanted to do what the boss said. And, you know, again, it's on the table because there was a lot of disagreement about how to move forward. To me, the most transparent and above board way to proceed is by filing another order that says, let's consider a 200-foot setback requirement from the businesses and zones that the one member of the public put forward, as opposed to just, you know, adopting what one person in the public thinks, as opposed to allowing for more broad discussion. Again, I'm happy to file the order. I'm happy to have the discussion. I don't think that the way that I filed the previous order, where this came up, is sufficient, was noticed sufficiently for the members of the public more broadly to participate. And there is the reason why I felt like it's just not a fair conversation.
Councillor Vacan.
Thank you, Mr. President. So to be clear, we are in a public hearing on the matter that this letter pertains to in Ordinance Committee. It's not tabled. The public hearing was continued to September 28th. Before us in the public hearing are two matters: the planning process that will occur in the review of marijuana applications and the table of buffers. All of us had the entire language. That language was drafted, redrafted. It sat in committee and came before us I don't know how many times. Incorporated into that language, which was theoretically to expand marijuana to some degree and to clarify some things in another degree, was embedded the expansion to the IP zone. Now, we're talking about a transparent process. A buffer zone clearly exists to deal with things like odors, other safety factors, etc. So once the public hearing is noticed and it's referring to that matter is properly before us. The intention of filing it to fix a mistake, or more than one, and we've been here fixing 2 or 3 different ordinances after the fact in the last few years. At this point, doesn't matter. It's properly before us. The people who are affected by it can properly come to the public hearing and be heard. And people watching this that are filing applications are hearing us tonight, and they can show up at the public hearing then. I don't think there's any basis for us to curtail any discussion or debate. Whatever the people want to talk about relative to buffers is fair game within the ordinance. Thank you.
On the motion, refer to committee.
Motion. Councilor Murphy, do you have a question?
Just a comment real quick.
Yeah.
There's 2 things. There were things that we learned, they're opinions, but there are things that we learned that we need to consider as we move these processes along. So number 1 is, and I've asked our planning department to get some research in terms of does the odor have some negative impact on air quality. That's number one. I think we need to know that before we keep moving on. And number two, we need to think a little bit more about where we put them in relation to other businesses that are in existence, so that we don't end up, while we're trying to promote new businesses, we certainly don't want to be creating negative environments that would create a poor opportunity for a current business to be successful. And it's a balancing act. And I will tell you, when I first came on to council, I had quite a few businesses that had been here a long time, and that was one of their concerns. They felt like they were being neglected in order to expand other things. So we need to balance the two. When feasible, we need to accept new businesses, but we need to make sure we're not doing it at the expense of our air quality, and we need to make sure we're not doing it at the expense of other businesses.
Councilor Lisi?
Thank you. I absolutely agree. And I do want to point out that's why we are the permitting authority, so that we can mitigate these problems when they come up. We've done it before when, some businesses felt that their parking was going to be impacted by the new traffic patterns that these other businesses, these cannabis businesses, were going to bring in. So again, for the concerns that neighboring businesses may be able to raise, there is a full-on public hearing for each application, for each applicant, so they can raise their concerns there. My statement is simply that what we advertised, and yes, the matter is before us to consider 200-foot setback from all the uses in the zoning ordinances. But what was advertised was just to correct a line in the ordinance, and it wasn't detailed. It's not something that a lay person would be able to read in the newspaper and say, oh, I want to chime in on that. It's not something that the health advocates, the asthma advocates would be able to say, oh, I understand what that's about, because we're really only looking to correct what we understood to be a Scrivener's error. And I think it creates an unfair advantage for any one person to come forward at this point in time if they have a more detailed understanding of the ordinance language. And I just feel like it would be more transparent and above board to file something new that members of the public could understand and come forward on. Thank you.
Motion is in the committee.
On the motion, Councilor Leahy said on the motion, item 20 is to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
21 is a petition for certification of the Professional Services
Make a motion into
Supervisor Association.
Finance?
So it's in the finance.
I have no problem. Finance has no problem, but I have no idea what they're asking.
It's a letter. It's a letter from the Department of Labor, and I guess they were asked to certify, if I'm reading correctly, the union.
So it's a communication?
Yeah, it's communication from the department.
Thank you. Finance.
Finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 22.
Finance.
Finance.
Is a new petition, new secondhand license at the mall for GameStop. So to finance, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? President's report, I'll go quick because we have a super long agenda. Received an email from Councilor Bartley regarding the Big E. He said to remind him, so I am reminding you for the update with regards to the Big E, and there's a bus and all that. So I'm going to turn it over to our contact who got us Holyoke Day. So, Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, this is good news, bad news. Thank you, Mr. President. Good news, bad news situation. So the good news is that the Big E goes forward. Salute to Holyoke happens for the 9th time. And the bad news is that although there's a silver lining, the bad news is that they're going to really have a kind of limited scope event. I know I had to send out an email. I know a lot of people were disappointed. A lot of groups got back to me. some of there's one group, there's a group of young Puerto Rican women led by this wonderful lady, oh my gosh, Sonia, and so they participated every year without fail, and so that was kind of a drag telling them it's a no-go for this year. So I am going to participate in, Mr. President, because there is a limited ability to do so, and if any counselor or otherwise elected official wants to send an email to me or department head or whatever, anybody really, send a department, we can have some small accommodation, but I'll wait for the email to come in, and if you want to do it up until the 18th or 19th, that'll be fine.
That's the 21st is
the 21st of the day, and the parade will tee off at 5. We all know that there's a preliminary that day, so it's going to be tough. We get it, and we obviously wish all the candidates the best of luck. The silver lining, Mr. President, is that in 22, they should be back to what we're used to, though they're going to have some other rules they indicated. But it sounded to me like from the emails I received that they're going to have a kind of regular order. So hopefully we can have some of the civic groups that really shine and really make Holyoke great shine that day, and have them participate as well. So, but this year is kind of a Debbie Downer. Thank you.
So if you want to be part of the bus tour, if we're calling it that, please get a hold of Councilor Bartley for the 21st. 21st is the primary as noted, so that's off the list. Speaking of the primary, September 9th, I believe Holyoke High School, 6:30 is the debate. Hopefully I got the time right. So just a reminder, the debate is the 9th. The Big E finally is Marty Dunway, September 18th. 3 p.m. On the corner of Lyman and Maple, really just call it Francie's. So outside of Francie's, it'll be set up to do Marty Dunway, which this council voted unanimously to do, but everything was put back due to COVID. So we're very excited for the 18th, 3 p.m. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. With that, one other thing, Councilor Lisi, just want to say congratulations on your doctorate. I know you've been working on that for many, many years.
Hey.
That's a wonderful achievement, so congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Next is ordinance. I lost my pages here. Ordinance, reminder with the lengthy agenda, if things can be packaged, we don't object to it. If they're going to committee when we get to motions, orders, and resolutions, if they're going to committee, you don't have
Make
to
a motion
debate
to
it.
package 23 through 73.
I'll second that.
Second the motion.
23A through D as a package, please, or all amendments to the traffic ordinance.
All right, so there we go. 23A, B, C, and D, suspend the rules, take up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Mr.
opposed?
President, can we separate 23B?
So 23A, C, and D. We'll do it that way. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? A is Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that no parking be allowed on Boulay Street. Recommend that be adopted. 23C, Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that no parking sign in front of 982 Hammond Street be removed. 23D is the Committee on Ordinance was referred in order that no parking sign at 282 Cabot Street be removed. Purposes would provide room for additional parking near the two care facilities. That's recommended. So motion is to receive and adopt under discussion.
Pass the first reading.
And pass the first reading. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. So again, they're just all amendments to the traffic ordinances. In the first case, there was a need for truck deliveries to have more of a clearance in order to turn around and get out of the intersection there. And for 23C and D, it was removing signs so that additional parking could be gained in those areas. Councilor Murphy was the maker of 23A, Councilors Hernandez and Bartley for D, and Councilor Hernandez for C, if anyone wants to add to that.
So motion is to pass the first reading. Aye. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion
to pass the second reading.
Pass the second reading. Have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. You're voting for 23A, C, and D.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes. Yes.
Bacon, sorry, okay. Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney, Leahy,
Yes.
sorry, I missed Hernandez. Hernandez,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Unanimous
Only got one
vote.
yes, guys.
So those pass.
Unanimous vote.
With those pass. Action 23B, command and ordinances refer in order that the city council, the appropriate committee, consider a drop and pickup for 2 parking spots for a band that will pick up and drop off at the V-Care Adult 200/210 High Street. Enclose the letter for the request. Recommend that be adopted.
Receive, adopt, and pass the first reading.
Motion to receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. So this was filed by Councilor LeBron Martinez because the V-Care Adult Care Center would like to be able to do pick up and drop off of their senior and elderly participants that have some mobility issues. This seems to be an easier location for them, according to their own reports. And while they had initially requested the elimination of 2 parking spots, we are keeping the 2 parking spots there. They are going to remain metered parking. But what's going to happen instead is that we're going to create a pickup and drop-off zone, or I believe the legal language actually says loading and unloading zone, between the hours of 8 and 9 a.m. and 2 and 3 p.m. That would allow the vans to get in, drop off, and in the afternoon pick up the participants.
If I could.
Councilor Murphy.
That was only one of those parking spaces, if I recall correctly, in committee.
It is one space.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone further? Oh, Councilor McGivern.
I apologize, Mr. President, but I have not seen the legal form, and I questioned this in the committee meeting. It's the original committee meeting when we met. I understand the need. I support the efforts to accommodate the program and to accommodate the elders who need to be dropped off and picked up. But we cannot, even for a short period of time, we cannot designate a parking spot for anything other than load and unload, which is very limited, and the vehicle has to move within 15 minutes. These are valuable parking spots to a handful of restaurants and retail stores in the downtown area, and they are used, for during the business hours. They are used constantly as meters. So my understanding is it's one spot for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon, and the van will be gone.
Yep.
Are you looking for legal to tell you that, or?
Yes, I'm not sure if I got a copy of the legal form, but I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, Jeff said
It was in the
that,
committee jacket, and it's probably in front of Councilor McGee at the moment, if anybody wants to see it.
So.
But we're all supposed to see it prior to the meeting, but I just.
Jeff said it was sent to us, but it's not attached to this right here. So it might be that legal sent it, and it's. It was done. Just to give the answer, Jeff was told it was done. But we can suspend the rules to allow legal to answer Councilor McGivern's question. So motion is ask legal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And they're still on, right? Right. So, Mike, if you're there, the legal form
Yes.
for this one, this is 23B. Councilor McGivern had a question with regards how the legal form was drafted. Did you hear his question?
With regard to the parking spot on High Street across?
Yep. Correct.
In front of AdCare, correct?
Yep.
The question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Councilor McGivern, I didn't get your actual question.
The question, so I'll sum it up. I said it a little different, but the question is, as you know, under Mass General Law, we cannot designate on-street parking for any specific person or any specific vehicle. It's general first come, first serve. So if I understand the intent of the ordinance committee is that it'll be 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour mid-afternoon, anybody can come in and use that as a drop-off and pick-up spot.
Yes, that's true, and that was good advice from our city engineer as well. It gets us out of the question of are we granting a license? And as Councilor Lisi pointed out, language is to load or unload, which includes certainly clients of AdCare, but certainly anyone else that needs to load or unload for any business purpose at that time. So it's generic enough to withstand a challenge and not be specific just to one business.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, if I can, just one concern I do have, and today I did see someone in a wheelchair, and now the problem is getting off at that one spot and then getting to the wheelchair ramp is also another issue we're going to have to figure out, because they ended up going out onto Dwight Street off of High Street, going down Dwight to get to the ramp while the car is trying to take a right turn. It was not a situation that was, I mean, no one got hurt, and the wheelchair got back up with the ramp with hand, but that is a concern that we need to somehow get that addressed. And I will say, as I've watched vans, because sometimes I just watch to see what's going on there since this has come up, and I will say the vans are usually there about 10 minutes. They usually unload them, bring them in, and then they leave, and then they go get some more people and come back. So they are not just sitting there, I will say that. But that as a loading area and unloading area with the right turn that we have on this corner is another issue.
Councilor Bartley.
So just, I don't know if it's through the chair to the acting mayor or to the council. I mean, so what the acting mayor just raised is the question of liability. And so I don't know if this is a change that has to be, it's critical, that has to be passed immediately, or can we table this and get some kind of an opinion from the law department as to the consequence if somebody does get hurt there in a loading zone, and if the city of Holyoke doesn't need a loading zone. So we're saying the loading zone, whatever the criteria might be for a loading zone, is there criteria? Does the city of Holyoke have a duty to make that loading zone safe? And if we don't make it safe, if we have a duty to make it safe and we're not making it safe, does this change put the city of Holyoke in the crosshairs for a tort claim? I don't know those answers. I'm just hypothesizing, but seeing how we're taking kind of an extraordinary measure for, by the way, Mr. President, I mean, I appreciate the compromise. Don't think for a second I don't, but this is an extraordinary measure for a business that already has off-street private parking attached to the building. But that's not good enough. They can't build themselves their own little ramp or their own little beautiful walkway from the private parking lot to the city sidewalk and roll down. They can't, for some reason, do that. Nope, it's got to be directly in front of the building. So my preference, and I'm not going to make the motion, but if the acting mayor wants to make the motion, I would certainly second a tabling to try to get some kind of a legal opinion, unless this is absolutely positively critical that we pass this tonight, which I don't think it is. Thank you.
So, Councilor Murphy, are you all set, or?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with what Councilor Bartley says. I don't know, and I would at some point ask our law department to look at it. I think I want to ask the city engineer to look at also in terms of that ramp, because, you know, there are those concerns. Like I said, the first time I had seen a wheelchair. Everyone else, my concern was the person getting over the stair, over the
curb.
The curb. But with the person in a wheelchair, my concern was they're now going down the street to get around it, and then it is a right turn, and there's no parking, and that car is right there. So, I mean, if we can find a better way, and it doesn't, I mean, I think we're trying to find a good compromise, but I want to make it a compromise that everybody's safe too, so.
Councilor Lisi has a question. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I understood correctly that you do not have a legal form in front of you in terms of the committee report?
Correct.
So then it's worth laying it on the table and moving on.
All right, so motion would be to table. Is that what you're saying, Councilor Murphy?
Second.
That's seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So 23B is tabled.
Can we, Mr. President, can I just make I guess, a point of order? Can we refer this to the law department to get an opinion and to the city engineer?
So 23B, because there were a series of questions, it's the table to get those questions answered. And the questions were the legality of it, and Councilor Murphy, you had the safety.
Yeah, so liability question.
And then hopefully legal can get back to us and get the legal form. It is here, unfortunately it's not attached to this. Then we'll have that for the next meeting. Okay? All right, so with that, we're on to 23E. Committee on Ordinance, who's referred an order zone change from RO to DR for 472, 474, 476 Appleton Street. Recommend that be adopted. Motion be
Receive the committee report, adopt, pass the first reading.
Motion is to receive and adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. So Councilor Alexander was in here requesting a zone change for several parcels on Appleton Street. The request is to change it from RO, so residential office uses, to downtown residential, which adds for an expansion of allowed uses, including personal services, which are desired at this point. It is not a spot zone. It is just changing the shape of where the border is between the DR and the RO zones in that area. So the committee voted on it favorably.
Any questions on this one? Seeing none. So pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion that the passage be ordained. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the change.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy. Murphy? No.
He's out.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Dakin,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes,
Leahy,
sorry, yep, yes, yes,
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
12 yeas.
So that passes. We're now on to finance. The Committee on Finance. Any packaging first, Councilor McGivern, or just in order?
Not at the moment, Mr.
Okay.
President, sorry.
So 24A, Committee on Finance, who was referred a settlement agreement by and between the city and the Hoyle Professional Services Association.
Make a motion to receive and adopt.
Motion is receive
Second.
and adopt. Under discussion, Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I will go quick but always be available to answer any questions. We had a very good Finance Committee meeting with a number of people, not just members of the committee, but a number of people present. We've had this on in the committee since June. I apologize to the members of this association, but we had questions on some language. The gist of the contract is a 2% COLA increase with a couple of other grade changes for positions within the contract itself. The money for this was in the budget. We talked about this during our budget hearings. The full city council back in June wanted this MOU to go to the Finance Committee for scrutiny, and we ended up taking a couple of meetings to do it. Damian Cody, who is the vice president of the association, was there to answer questions along with the law department. Unfortunately, Mayor Murphy did not negotiate this. The attorney who negotiated, I don't believe is with the city anymore, and Labor Council does understand it, but Labor Council wasn't present. But the questions we had were, looks like there were positions being created. Mr. Cody and our solicitor who was present said that these positions should not have been in the MOU. This was discussions last year that were either taken care of or negated. And the only one position that was in the budget but was not funded was the National Service Officer in the Veterans budget itself. So the committee, after listening, getting our answers, voted to adopt the agreement for the 2% COLA with the understanding it's not creating any new positions.
Anyone further? Hearing none, motion was to receive, adopt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I think it's a roll call, Mr. President, because
well,
even though we passed the budget, the raises have not been given out pending our ratification of the language that calls for.
So you're going to call it a financial transfer through the budget? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So 24A, we're going to do a roll call just so we try and make sure it is like a financial transfer. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to agree to the 2%, which then is into the budget.
Lisi,
Abstain.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 abstain.
With your vote, you approve that 24A, sorry. 24B, which is the Adult Criminal Justice System $50,000 grant with no match. Motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading.
Thank you,
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Real quick, Lieutenant Hart was with us from the police department. Explained that this is primarily working a diversion program with juveniles. They work with the probation department, juvenile probation court. I qualified and disclosed I'm a probation officer, but I'm working with moms and dads in district court. Councilor Leahy also made a disclosure that he's a member of the Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors, for which $42,000 of this $50,000 grant goes to is earmarked towards for the purpose of working with the police department, who works with probation in juvenile court, and with high risk and low risk juveniles that are deferred to the program run by the Boys and Girls Club with the help of the police departments. $8,000 of the $50,000 is earmarked towards the police for the efforts that they do. Committee recommends that we accept the grant and allow it to be expended as said.
So motion be to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the grant.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes?
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes. Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that grant. 24C is the fiscal year 20 Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness, or MVP grant, for $22,097.50. Motion be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee had Yoni Glasgow before us. He's quickly becoming one of our favorite department heads, always prepared with the answers and the explanation. This is actually an increase of a grant that was a match for the MVP grant, which is a much larger grant itself. Yoni explained that this will allow the city and the grant to do more work. A lot of the work is done with the Boys and Girls Club. Library Park is, he noted as one of the examples of where this money is used. The library park library parking is where they have their stormwater runoff retention. He wants to put more landscaping in there and make it better for the collection of stormwater itself. Very detailed. If there's any questions, I'm sure we can answer them, but the committee does recommend that we accept this increase to the match of that much larger grant itself that we accepted last year.
Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that there was already, the amount I believe was $25,000 that was already approved in this. This was an extra, and also that not just the Boys and Girls Club, also the money is being utilized, this grant, to help out in the Holyoke Public School System.
Thank you. Anyone further? Seeing none, the clerk will call.
Motion to pass the second reading.
So pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second
Motion
reading.
to pass the second reading. Clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the grant.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Greeny,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
For your vote, you approve that grant. 24D, Committee on Finance, the fiscal year 2022 State 911 Department Support Grant, $246,443. No match. Motion is to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, Yoni Glosser was with us, joined by Whitney Anderson for the public schools.
No.
No, this is the 911.
What am I on?
911 support.
I'm sorry, I'm going by the finance agenda.
24D, Joe.
Lieutenant Hart was with us. Is that better?
Sure.
Yeah.
If we could do, actually, I'm sorry, my mistake, but if we could do 24D and 24
All right, suspend.
E together.
Suspend the rules, take up 24E as well. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? E is 17,900, and that's the 911 training grant. So the first one was the support grant. This is the training grant. And they're both to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not a funny story, but what happened was Lieutenant Hart lost his audio and video when he was with us, and we jumped over him and went to Yoni. So now we're just doing the opposite for the real match here. Lieutenant Hart was with us. This is the annual grant that we received. It's separated for obvious purposes. The training grant is each of our E911 dispatchers have to be certified both on their initial hirings and then on an annual basis. This pays for the costs associated with their going into their education and their obtaining their certification. The other part is what we use for salaries for dispatchers. The much larger grant, $246,443. There is no match. We have to put the money in the budget prior. It's a reimbursement grant itself, so we take from this grant as the salaries are paid. Both help out the city of Holyoke tremendously. We recommend the acceptance and expenditures of both grants.
Anyone? Seeing none, motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is to pass the second reading. The clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 24D and E.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Rosen, no le vamos a quedar caliente ahí. Cheque.
Bartley,
Yes.
Greeny,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
For your vote, you approve those two. 24F, Committee on Finance, the Green Communities Grant, $195,603. Motion be recommended that receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Counselor McGivern.
Once again, Yoni Glossner, our Conservation Director, was with us. He went into great detail, explained that the purpose of this grant is for the energy conservation, but doing upgrades to systems, municipal systems, to prove a better energy efficiency itself. He was joined by Whitney Andersons with the public schools, but quite frankly, after Yoni went through the entire project itself, it's going to be a 20% estimated energy conservation in the Sullivan School with an estimated savings of $22,000. Primarily, it's replacing lighting and some other hardware and issues and items that are associated with the lighting of that school itself. Councilor Tomlin pointed out that he had mentioned Dean School. Dean School could use the upgrade, and Councilor Tomlin was good to note that. Hopefully, get Yoni to say that that's the probably the next priority on the list. And I'm happy to say that it's always a pleasure to see Whitney Anderson, but for the first time ever, after listening to Yoni, Whitney had two sentences to say. He just said, Yoni did a great job. I agree with everything he said.
So the motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the grant.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that grant. 24G, the Committee on Finance is for an order that in order to reduce interest costs, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, be authorized to issue refunding bonds. This is recommended that be adopted. Motion is receive, adopt. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had our Mayor Murphy, before us, and we also had our City Treasurer, Katie Jakowski, before us. The last time we took this identical vote is something that we're required to do from time to time was in 2012. What this essentially does is allow the treasurer, with the mayor's approval together, to go out and look for a better interest rate on any of our debt that is incurred within the...
Can Gladys be muted, or can she mute herself, please?
Muted.
Okay. I think we've all recognized that in the past, whenever this happens, especially these days when interest rates are still at an all-time low, that the city gains with the reissuing of bonds. It doesn't change the language or the intent of the bond. It just changes the interest that we have to pay. The committee recommends that we adopt the Mass General Law.
You know, and further motions to, you just need a roll call, correct?
I believe so,
It's
yes,
just a
because
call.
of the,
No, you have to
yeah.
go first. So, clerk will call a roll. If you vote yes, you're voting to allow for the rebonding for different interest rates. Clerk will
Lisi?
call the roll.
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that. 24H, Committee on Finance has referred an order for $4,753.50 be authorized from the City Solicitor Department Special Counsel for fiscal year 2022 for services rendered in the prior year. Recommended it be adopted. Motion is be receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Solicitor Lisa Ball was present. She inherited two invoices or two expenditures that need to be taken care of. Of the money it's coming from, she says at the moment she has it in that line item, and she needs to take care of $3,800 for an outside contract, $991 workman's comp, an issue at the DPW. After listening to our city solicitor and agreeing that with the auditor that the invoices are legit, we agreed to approve the transfer as approved by Mayor Murphy.
Anyone further? So So motion is pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading?
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for for the transfer.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
By your vote, you approve that one. 24 aye. Committee on Finance referred $197,927.69 from Public Works, various line items for, looks like prior year expenses as well. Recommended that that be adopted. Motion is receive, adopt, or discussion. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're being asked to take one vote this evening on a large amount of money with several invoices attached to it, but the one vote is that we allow these invoices from prior fiscal year, I think there might be one from a prior fiscal year, to be paid with money from this year's budget. We have Mike McManus before us along with the city auditor. He went through part of the list, but more important in general detail, talked about the reasonings of Mike. I think most of us recognize always tries to live within his budget, and he was looking for ways to transfer around in his budget to pay these bills. Unfortunately, some of these bills go back to, I believe, January, February, some snow removal stuff, some other things that, should have been paid in a more timely fashion. Councilor Bartley pointed that out to him, and I think we all took the position that yes, bills need to be paid in a timely fashion, and hope that this won't happen or won't be a reoccurring thing. The auditor, did stamp approval of the invoices being legit. She concurred that these things should have been encumbered or paid in a much more timely fashion, and she'll be working with the department on doing so in the future. There was forever, and maybe this is a request to the mayor to look into it, position in the DPW known as the assistant superintendent of DPW. And I think, over the years, we found out that this position, and Mike is an engineer, which is a great plus to the city, but this position takes on a lot of responsibility, and you really need someone to delegate some of that responsibility to. And I don't think there's a second in command on the books at this moment.
Councilor Bacon.
I just have a question as to where the money's coming from within the budget. I thought it was a really tight budget already.
Good question, and that question was asked. It's essentially in the same line items that it would have came from, and he says it is going to cause some problems with this year's budget because it is a tight budget, and he is already looking for surpluses that he can come to us and to the mayor first, and then come to us to transfer around.
I usually do attend your meetings, but I couldn't make that one. So thank you for the explanation.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, so since the finance chair mentioned it, which I don't disagree with it. I'm just saying I did say it that night. It's only, listen, I'm not knocking Mike. Mike's an intelligent guy. I simply said that night that is a major gaffe. But I know what's going to happen when we get our booklet for the next fiscal year. I know we're going to see salary bumps. I sure know we're not going to see a suggestion that the department had cut his salary, but I bet darn well it's going to be a salary bump. And when you do this, when you make, whether you have an assistant or not, you took the job. I mean, you got to play the cards you're dealt. So he's his. There's great demands on his time, but to do something like this, and when we know he's going to come back for fiscal transfers, and when I get my budget book next, if we're elected, we talked about that before, didn't we? But if we are here, and I do get my budget book, then it's something to think about. So I said it to Mike. I'd rather be frank with a guy than not be frank. So I hope we don't forget this situation, because we're going to get financial transfers. So it's that's all. I mean, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I know he's a very intelligent person, hardworking person, done a lot of great things for the ward I represent and the city as a whole. And so I always credit Mike where possible. But this is not great. Thank you.
Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, I just, I mean, I did meet with Mr. McManus. We had a very serious conversation. He's aware that this is something that cannot be allowed. And the other aspect of this is these are a number of local businesses that were not being paid in some cases for 6 months. So, I mean, and he's aware you've got to stay on top of this, whether you have an assistant or not. You've got to be on top of these things, both from the respect of the business community, but also obviously from a budget standpoint. He has put, this transfer does put FY22 budget in serious jeopardy. And the money was there in FY21 and they should have been paid. He's aware of that now. He's been made, and he accepts the error of his ways. And I believe he's going to move to make sure that this does not happen again.
Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I think the DPW manager heard us loud and clear on this issue, and I think he understands that. Sometimes we get these things, these bills come in late, and it might be $4,000 or $5,000, but to see something almost $200,000, and I think he did admit that some of the stuff got out of hand, and you put off, and as Councilor and Mayor Murphy stated, that a lot of these are local businesses that should have been paid within a couple months or 30 days or 60 days, and it's going to affect us in the next budget year. I think we all realize that, but it's something that he learned from, and something that we, as someone that, are elected officials, that we watch out for our department heads and try to keep them where they're doing their job on a regular basis.
No one further. So motion is to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. Clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Daddy. Daddy. No están ahí.
McGee.
Can we-
McGivern.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Tallman.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Anderson Burgos.
Yes.
Bartley.
Yes.
Graney.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Leahy.
Yes.
LeBron Martinez.
Yes. Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve the transfer.
We could suspend the rules and take 24I and 24N as a package.
I mean,
Just did 24I, Joe.
We just did 24I. You want J?
24J.
With what else?
24N.
N, okay.
I hope.
All right, so motion to suspend rules, take up J and N as a package. All those in favor?
Second.
All opposed?
Aye.
J is from the Committee on Finance at $1,380 be authorized from Personnel Department and appropriate for fiscal year services rendered, so creating a prior bill. 24N is Committee on Finance was referred that are hereby appropriated $1,050 as followed from Mayor's Aid to Labor Services Director. Is that the same ones, Joe?
They both were, yes, they both were from, we had the mayor obviously with us, but with our new personnel director, Sheila Bierman was with us.
Okay.
They're a little different, but I think we can do them together or we'll separate them.
All right, so motion is receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Yes, she told a lot of energy. It was good to see her, although she was on Zoom. It was nice to have her in for the first time. But she told us that she inherited an invoice, I believe it was a 2019 training bill that needs to be paid, and she's asking that we would be able to pay that that bill for $1,380 professional services training. And the second part, Mayor Murphy told the committee and worked with her on the position, and it was during the budget presentation of the budget that Mayor Murphy said he was, and I remember him saying this, that he had no idea what the labor service director was, $1,050, and no one said anything from the department or from anywhere, and that was cut from the budget. Well, Mayor Murphy, said it shouldn't have been cut from the budget in hindsight, and he's asking that we return it. There's a surplus in his aid to the mayor's position itself to be used for the 1,050. We recommend adoption of both.
Any questions? Seeing none, motion is passed the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is passed the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for both J and N together.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Greeny,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Not here right now.
no, LeBron Martinez. Okay. 11 yeas.
We vote you approve those two. 24K is the Committee on Finance that the City Council approve the expense for fiscal year 2021 Berkshire Valley Bike Administration for $9,610. Recommend that be adopted. Motion be receive, adopt. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had Cynthia Espinoza and Aaron Vega before us. A couple of interesting points. I just want to make sure if you didn't hear it at the committee level. Valley Bike, rideshare, I think is very popular, and I think we're all in agreement with it. But the MOU that was signed and adopted by the city and adopted by this council back in 2020, clearly had an administrative fee in it. However, when we accepted and got into the program, it was the Commonwealth of Massachusetts who was paying that administrative fee. The language is based on the number of stations a community has. Good news is we're up to 12 stations, which I think shows the popularity here in Holyoke. The fee itself is $9,610. The revenue itself comes from the revenue that is collected through Valley Bike itself, through the TNC, the receipts themselves. The auditor was with us. She told us there's currently $43,142 in that fund. We have the money to pay it. There were some great questions asked as to, we got into this knowing that the state was paying for this, and there is some for-profit share going on here with Valley Bike itself, and we want to make sure that the for-profit people are, owning up to what their profit is, and not just, increasing their profit by putting the administrative fee on us. And I think I got everything. If anybody else sees what I missed, please hop in. But we're part of it. We got the agreement with them, and we're suggesting that we do adopt the TNC receipts to pay for the administrative fee.
Okay. Seeing no one, motion would be to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion be to pass the second reading. Clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the payment.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan, Tallman,
Yes.
He's back.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Greeny,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy, LeBron Martinez,
Yes.
11 yeas.
For your vote, you approve that one. 24L, Committee on Finance are referred. 5,000 from aide to mayor to executive assistant to mayor. Recommend that be adopted. So receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
Yeah, the Mayor Murphy with us. The surplus is for the aide to the mayor did leave during this year, so there is a surplus in that line item. The transfer of $5,000 is going into the executive assistant to the mayor. It's a salary increase for someone who is, I'll let the mayor speak to this, but I believe it's been a little while since this individual has received any type of raise. would increase her salary from $44,392 to $49,392. I asked and was told that still is not the max of that salary grade itself. The committee recommends that we adopt the transfer.
Anyone, Counselor Bacon?
Is that, so it's a transfer within the budget, but it wasn't budgeted on the line?
Well, if I can.
I mean, I should have asked it as a question.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So, two things I'm doing. Originally, there were two people well, there were originally three people working in the mayor's office, and when I got there were two, and now there's one. And what I'm trying to do is provide, the person that is there is doing a great job. And so what I'm trying to do is provide a salary raise that reflects the fact that that person is now doing what used to be done with three people by herself. So with some assistance from our city council administrator, whom I still got to sit down and talk to. But I'm just trying to provide her with a salary adjustment. This will make her salary, and up until this past budget, she hadn't had a major increase to any extent for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've been told it's even longer than that, and she's been there for 12.
So, just if I can, through the president, so you moved her into a different position?
No, the position itself has that salary range. What I've taken her is from lower part of the salary range to the middle part of the salary range.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone further? Seeing none, hearing none, motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Greeny?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Leahy?
Yes.
LeBron Martinez? 12 yeas.
For your vote, you approve that one. 24M, Committee on Finance, request of $164,983 from to into a series of line items. Recommend that it be adopted. Motion be receive, adopt, pass first reading. Councilor McGivern.
We had Maria Pagan, Library Director, before us. Maria went through this in great detail. I'm going to sum it up real quick. What Maria told us was that when the budget was put into before us and adopted, it was pre the salary increase ordinance that we adopted as a city council, as a city. Therefore, the budget line items did not reflect the new salary ordinances. There were some job changes, some job description changes, and some things that Maria was able to go into great detail. There used to be a night differential for library clerks who worked the later night shifts, and she says with the new ways they're doing business, she combined everything together, and this transfer would put the budget back into the correct amounts for each of the individuals who work at the library according to the new ordinance.
Any questions? Councilor Bacon.
Just one, can you remind us what the hours are that the library is open right now to the public?
8:30 to 4 and 4 to 8:30 are the two different shifts. So I believe, if I'm not, am I correct?
And starting today, they were starting to be open evenings as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a change in the hours.
Yeah, once they got into the fall, typically when school started, they would start the evening hours, but obviously school started a couple of weeks earlier, but they are starting this week with the evening hours.
Thank you.
Seeing none, hearing none, so motion is passed first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is to pass the second reading. Clerk will call the roll. We'll call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Greeny?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez. 12 yeas.
With your vote, you approve that one. 24, oh, Committee on Finance with an order that the Finance Committee meet with representatives of Wally Computer Associates to review costs and impacts on the computer services provided to the city. You recommend it's been complied with. Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had representatives of Wally Computer, of course, Mayor Murphy with us, both Mike Neftfield and Kevin, I apologize, I don't got his last name correct.
Kevin Russell.
Kevin, thank you, Councilor Tallman. Came before us and went in great detail of the two areas which Wally Computer serves the city of Holyoke. It's been like this since the get-go. They always have served in the police department. We've had two chiefs of police over the years tell us they're in dire need to have their services when it comes to the data and collection of data that they do. And they have nothing but great praise for Wally Computer and what they do for the police department. For the first year, I think Mayor Murphy did this, but for the first year, it's still separated, but the amount of money paid for the police department is on the computer system in the budget on page 10, along with the computer consulting services, which the city more recently entered an agreement with Wally Computer at the point of when we replaced the good people from the gas and electric that were doing the IT services. Both, especially Kevin, but they went through great detail of the money that is spent, the amount of staff people. It works out to 24/7. They have remote staff. Any department head, anyone who is associated with with the city can reach their remote staff. They said they have a great response time for that, and they can always get a hold of them to help them, walk them through certain things. Actually, on premise, they have a full-time person who is on premise more or less in City Hall, and a part-time person who is connected to the police department. And part-time, I mean, it's a full-time person, but not full-time to just the city of Holyoke. So it makes sense. The committee went through a lot of details. If there are any questions, we'll all be glad to answer them in more detail, but at this point, we just suggest the order's been complied with.
Councilor Leahy.
Yeah, thank you. It was a very good meeting, and I've been trying to get a hold of the contract, the Wally contract for some time, and I guess we got it in the City Council chamber, so I'm looking forward to reading that. But it's also very interesting that with both Kevin and Michael here, I was kind of shocked by this on their part, that we have a month-to-month contract. We don't have anything set in stone for 6 months or a year or 2 years, that sort of thing. I just thought that was kind of strange. We basically pay about $30,160 per month for the contract, which totals to about $361,940. And in that, what they do is they, as Joe said, remote access, 24/7. Probably most importantly, the anti-virus service, and having that loaded on. And they have a dedicated person for the police department and pretty much 2 on-site engineers at all time. Another interesting thing that I thought as well is they don't handle the website for the city of Holyoke. That's done by a different company. I thought it would be all one thing, but it's not. But it was a good meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, it was very important that we heard from Wally, because I think we've had them in about a year ago, and the amount of support that we get from them, not only the full-time person in the police department, but a roaming person at different departments in City Hall. I don't know, many of us got this sheet here and how they check off compared to the HG&E who we used to have. Nothing against them, but how they're here for the support desk, 24-hour urgent support, antivirus, cybersecurity monitoring. It's a high cost, but it's definitely in today's day and age with computers and malware and all this other things that could be hacked in our programs if something goes down in whether the police department or fire department or any of our financial departments. It really is effective, the whole community. So this is something that I think is well worth the amount we pay, and it's a very good service for the city.
Anyone further? See none, motion that's been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public Safety Committee, Committee on Public Safety was referred in order to invite in the Chief of Police to discuss the plan that the department has in place in case there is domestic terrorism in our city. Recommend that's been complied with. Councilor Murphy.
I make a motion the committee report be received and adopted.
Motion to receive and adopt. Councilor Murphy.
We met with the chief, and he is part of a regional task force and also tied into the federal government. So we actually have a network. So if there was some kind of threat that was being noted, we are notified, and all the various task force, anti-terrorism task force, I think is what he called it, are all involved in, are we really thinking of this as a legitimate threat? If so, what are we going to do and how are we going to react to it? So it made it very comfortable that he is actually part of that task force, and that they get constant updates of threats that might be out there. And obviously knowing the threat beforehand is crucial, and knowing it beforehand and or reacting, there is a task force that is set up to do it.
Councilor Graney.
Yeah, just through the chair, I'd like to ask the Chair of Public Safety, I realize that my order was tabled at the last Public Safety Committee, the order that we bring somebody in from the medical field to discuss the pros and cons of marijuana. I was just wondering if I could get an update on that.
We are working with Bay State. They were indicating they would just want a little more time before they would come in. I will touch base again with them for the next public safety meeting, and I know Jeffrey's had some contact, and I've had contact with former Senator Knappich, who has been kind of the coordinator. They just wanted more time to be able to get their information together before they came and made a presentation. So, and Holyoke Medical Center, unfortunately, at that point, and Jeffrey, you correct me if I'm wrong, just indicated because of having more cases coming in right now, they just weren't ready to be able to send someone to be able to really come and testify. Now, whether that's going to change, hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll have fewer COVID issues, but that was one of their concern. And Jeffrey, you correct me if I'm wrong.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the update.
Okay.
So, motion has been complied with. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? There was no Public Service Committee, DGNR, Committee on DGNR, who was referred order proposal recommendations for the American Rescue Plan Act. Recommended that be adopted.
Yeah, motion to receive, adopt, committee report.
Second.
Receive and adopt. Under discussion, Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So thanks to everybody that participated in the meeting. It was another one of those long meetings, but it was very fruitful. And I think we did a lot of great work. We've put together the spreadsheet that we're accustomed to for CDBG, and there was a lot of give and take and compromise. I did have a chance to communicate with the acting mayor over the weekend, because when I got the committee report, it didn't have the mayor's, as we're kind of accustomed to CDBG, so the mayor's first swing. And the acting mayor did advise me that he was waiting to hear from this body as a whole, but I implored him to put together his, and he was gracious enough to go ahead and do that, which is, it's on the table here if you don't have a copy of it. I do have a copy of it. I'm gonna, I'm not criticizing, so let's just be super clear on that. But yet, because there's a lot of tough decisions that go into this, and we know that. But I'm just gonna point out where I have vehement disagreement with what the mayor's first swing on this is, and I'm just gonna, because I know other committee members would probably want to speak, but the way when I ran through the spreadsheet, I noticed that the mayor, the acting mayor, pulled out about $1.81 million of recommendations we made to 13 sources, and this includes Girls Inc., this includes the YMCA, this includes the Boys Club, it includes ROCA, it includes E for All, includes the New England Farm Workers Council, Homework House, holy cow, the Care Center, holy moly, and LASE,
twice. Holy moly, zeroed out both times. Tough decisions. I get it. And then the Holyoke Rose, the Connecticut River Conservancy that we thought. And instead, what the acting mayor in the first swing went through was $1.3 million to the Holyoke Housing Authority for the South Holyoke homes, and then that's what one big ticket item. And then the other big ticket item was for the Springdale sewer separation, $675,000. And I would humbly request that if there's any, I don't agree with it. I think Holyoke Housing Authority is supported, especially $1.3 million, supported by this body. I mean, left and right and front and center, back and forth all the time. And to take $1.3 million and put into South Holyoke Homes, where that entity has ample opportunities to find resources elsewhere, and we have all these other bodies here that probably don't have that kind of flexibility, that kind of power. To do that, I think that's a huge mistake, and I think it'll be a costly mistake in the long run. So it's my hope, that we'll reconsider it. But again, I'll finish this way. We all know this game. I hope we do anyhow. We all know the game, right? The game is we just throw it out there and throw a dart and hope that the acting mayor certainly did. Oh, the CDBG. I think most of it was, heard it, and the acting mayor was right there, participated the whole meeting, and then we were there, all that debate, the whole thing. Whenever we met, at the end of August, I don't even remember when it was, and then, we had a special, August 23rd, whatever, it doesn't matter. So that was the second DGR we had in August, so thank you to the committee, as always, for its patience and participation. So hey, and my hope is that this body tonight, unless somebody wants to make a motion, I hope we'll support the recommendations in full of what we had in committee, and we'll leave it to the mayor. Thank you.
Councilor Murphy, then Councilor Graney.
Yeah, let me make some clarifications and some additional information here that is not known. And a lot of this information has come to me in the last couple of days, and it has changed the way I perceive this, so let me start off with that. When this first process is over for the 14.9 million, we have now received another 3.8 million, which I was informed I would be able to just take 2.2 million of that and just do whatever I wanted to. I have decided not to do that, and what I've done is open up a process for the 3.8 million, which we will be starting, which will do two things. Number one, it will take any new proposals that might be out there that people want to submit that missed the first deadline. It will take those that were not funded and put them back into reconsideration, which is one of the things, and one of the reasons I cut some of these things. It will, and let me also say a few things about the things that I did do. First of all, I put more money into infrastructure. I've heard from this council on a number of occasions to do more money in infrastructure. There is that 600 and, I believe it's 675,000 for the Springdale Pond sewer separation. Let me make two clear points here. Number one, that is going to save us money in our sewer account based on the city engineer's comments, and it's going to start doing it as soon as we do it. And number two, his view very clearly to me was that it's also going to reduce our capital expenditure needs in the future. Knowing those two facts, I think $675,000 to resolve that and to reduce the amount that we send into the wastewater treatment plant, which reduces our bill and reduces our capital needs in the future, was a very wise investment, and I'm going to support that. I continued to do this $2 million in the sewer system rehab. I continue to do the $2 million in the water. I continued the $4 million in city buildings. that ends up being somewhere in the vicinity of 60 to 63% of all the monies coming in that is going to some kind of infrastructure project. The areas that I did increase, I do for several reasons, and I increased Habitat for Humanity, I increased the duplexes for the One Holyoke, and I did do the South Holyoke homes. All three of those have the potential of construction sometime late this fall and be starting late this fall by all indications. I have not gone to the point where I'm saying this is absolute, but knowing that that is 8 homes on Carlos Vega Park that will be owner-occupied, tax-paying units on Clemente Street, that it'll be completing the project on Jackson and Chestnut Street with an additional, finishing one home and doing an additional home, and potentially, and this is an area we've had some problems, One Holyoke, one of their lots that they are looking at is on Walnut in Hampshire, in the vacant lot where I know Councilor Hernandez knows we've had some problems and we need some homeowner investment there. So I think all three of those additional expenditures make sense from both having an impact in that neighborhood, and they are all quality census tract neighborhoods, and also changing the economic vitality of those neighborhoods potentially. I also, we were doubtful about the Station 6 generator, whether that could be getting money somewhere else. It cannot, so I've included that as well. The other aspects, the 3.8 million, there were a lot of those things that are going to be programs that are going to be run, and I have no problem with most of those programs, and I would expect, and we've asked, we met today, and I asked that we'd have a September 25th allocation for the new proposals, so that, and I've had people asking me, can we submit new proposals? Yes, you can. My hope is that, if you notice, I have 2 CAC members there today. I got another one that I late filed. I got 3 more interviews coming up this week to try to have the CAC have more membership, more diverse membership. So my hope is that they will send back to the City Council on October 5th recommendations for the $3.8 million, which my expectation would include a lot of those things that I was just criticized for taking them out. That is not my intention to leave them out. My intention is to get these things done where there is a timing issue. If I find out the timing issue is, no, we aren't doing this, we can't do this till next summer, that's a different matter. But I have been told that in all 3 of those cases, they are, the funding would make them shovel ready. And that's an important factor to me. So I would also, and I'm kind of in a peculiar situation here. I'm a counselor and I'm the mayor, and I was trying to stay, I didn't want to make any recommendations, but I understand, and that's what's happened before, so I ended up I made them all today, and I want to thank Alicia and Kate from the Community Development Office, because I know they sent them to Jeffrey probably about 5 o'clock as we worked our way through it. And again, that $3.8 million, I think, creates another opportunity. I think we can meet a lot of those things. I know some of you had concerns about the Boys Club. I think that puts us in a better position to maybe do more of that Boys Club project and homework house and other things. So it's not that I'm against those programs. I'm trying to figure out how we get the maximum improvements, and knowing there's $3.8 million, that process is there. I certainly know the council's feelings on many of those, and that I'm not adverse to many of those things. And so that's why I made those recommendations.
Councilor Graney.
Yeah, just quickly, I appreciate Mayor Murphy's work and Alicia's work and the work of the DG and our committee. And I just want to put a plug in that the most important natural resource in the city of Holyoke is our youth, and the Boys and Girls Club is very near and dear to all of us, and they've saved many, many people over the years from going the wrong way to going the right way. And I just hope that we have something in the future, or something that we can reconsider here to make sure that they're made whole, because it's a wonderful organization and they are the youth of Holyoke and they are the future of our city. Thank you.
Councilor McGivern, Councilor Leahy, then Councilor Vacan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with the DGR recommendations. I sat and listened to a lot of the presentations by the committee, listened to, and some great questions. I think it's important that we do look at these requests very carefully. But I've said this over and over again, the most important allocation out of all of this proposal to me is number one, the lost revenue replacement, which we're told we can do no better than $1.7 million. I think the federal government, the American Rescue Plan Act, is falling short in that area. They should be giving us more opportunities to not just lost revenue, but to share revenue for city services, and not just infrastructure, but city services that need a good shot in the arm. I think Mayor Murphy took the words out of my mouth. I agree with the sewer part. I'm glad we're all on board with the $2 million, and that Springdale project should be funded as soon as possible, because that's the next project after Jackson Street that we need to get going. There's a couple other infrastructure things out there with the next money coming in the door, and I would just ask the mayor to look at a roof on the War Memorial Building, and a number of things that we could do that would save us capital dollars down the road that we could use for other items in our everyday budget. Thank you.
Next was Councilor Leahy.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank everybody that was involved with this. This is a lot of work. This is something that I know none of us city councilors take lightly. You know, some of my comments, you know, I wish that we were giving more money to the Holyoke Water Department regarding the storage tank and the water lines. They're in desperate need of repair. I also think that, as I stated earlier, I am on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, but I think that more money should have been spent with the Boys and Girls Club for many different reasons, especially the child care center renovations, so desperately needed. There's so many families that utilize the Boys and Girls Club, and if they don't have a a clean, safe place to go, a lot of these parents can't work. Providence Ministries, that's a no-brainer. The Homework House, I think it's a no-brainer. I think that we should increase the money for these two different lifesavers. And I remember some time ago we had a meeting in the Public Service Committee, and we brought in the Holyoke Rose. And from my memory, I believe that the majority of the children that utilize the Holyoke Rose aren't from Holyoke. And it's kind of a first come, first, and I think Councilor Lisi, if she's still on the, yep, if you can, I remember, I think you were the one that asked the Holyoke Roses, if you could have a couple slots dedicated every time they have if they have a summer camp or whatnot for Holyoke children. I could be wrong, I don't recall, but somebody had said that, and they basically said, no, it's, first come, first serve. So, giving money to people that aren't, living in the city of Holyoke, I want all the money to be utilized for people of Holyoke. Thank you.
Councilor Vacan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just through you to Mayor Murphy, I thank you for the increases you put into infrastructure. And I just have one big question, and I let the other folks have spoken already. But Holyoke Housing Authority, now I haven't seen their balance sheet in a long time, but the last time I did see it, they had one of the best looking balance sheets I've seen in a long time. So, and then I think about our poor water department that's been cut. And I would just really sincerely ask you to see if you could take some of that big chunk that you're putting to the Housing Authority, which I think has still a nice balance sheet, and help out the water department that has struggled and been cut for years. So I appreciate your consideration on that.
Yeah,
thank you.
Councilor Greeny, did you have another? Okay, just want to make sure. Councilor Bartley, then Councilor McGivern.
Yeah, I didn't, I hope I didn't come off too critical, but I mean, you get something at 5 o'clock and you go through it during a meeting, and then you see a $1.3 million allocation for Holyoke Housing Authority. Well, what we heard is 8 houses. I mean, let's think about that for half a second. So 1.3 for 8 houses. On top of that, I didn't know we were getting 3.3 and another 2.2. I mean, I didn't know these things. Obviously, the acting mayor did, but I didn't know anything about it. We just went through all our due diligence for how many hours we were doing that. Plus, we already approved the 1.7 million. Plus, we already approved the $4 million for the municipal buildings. Plus, we approved the $2 million for the Holyoke Waterworks. So that DGR did put the money into infrastructure. So don't say, well, you know, we did all. I mean, we did. I mean, it was half of it, or not. We did, Mr. President. We did that. But then we took considered votes with a heck of a lot of compromise back and forth on these other things. And to answer just through the chair to the Ward 5 counselor, if you recall, when we had minutes from Holyoke, I hope you read those minutes because they're darn good. They have the financial flexibility last year to take $500,000, take it out of their balance sheet and throw it into MMDT to get more interest because they have that financial flexibility. Well, good for you. Great. I'm glad you have that. You don't pay a darn pilot to the city. You pay peanuts. Peanuts. $4,000 a year. Meanwhile, VOC voluntarily paying the residential rate. VOC steps up, they pay the full residential rate, and now we're saying 8 houses on Carlos Vega Park and they're going to be taxpayers? Big deal. That, Mr. President, that doesn't cut it. That argument is thin. $500,000. They took a vote, took it right out of their balance sheet, threw it into a bank, MMDT, Mass Municipal Depository Trust. Look up the minutes. Because they could get more interest on their money. They could have taken that money and thrown it down at Carlos Vega Park. This is $1.3 million. I told you, I calculated real quick, do the math yourself, 1.81 taken out of organizations that are not like new to Holyoke. Established organizations. Imagine what they could do with that. Talk about, I mean, forget the 8 houses, Mr. President. They could help 800 kids or however you want to say it. I mean, if I was going to, you know, and I'll be respectful, but I don't want to hear that I'm being criticized on it because I'm the acting mayor. Well, I mean, gee whiz. I mean, I get something at 5 o'clock. I mean, and then I look at it and I make it a few points. Don't tell me you're being criticized, Mr. President, because that gets me going. Now I'm upset because that comment like that gets me going, Mr. President.
All right.
But well, I'll tell you what. You're going to make a remark like that. And the acting mayor has had a whole weekend, if not days, to look this over and to know that more money's coming in. I don't get that information until, 5 minutes to 10 after a 3-hour meeting. So don't tell me I'm being criticized. That's not fair.
All right. So
thank you.
All right. Councilor McGivern.
I'll turn my mic on. Holyoke Housing Authority is spending $34 million on the Lyman Street project. Looks great on the outside. The work's been done on the inside where it's more new. No improvements. Still the same size, nothing gained. $34 million, I think, is way too much to spend on that project, but that's not what I wanted to say. Sorry. One thing I do want to just repeat myself is, since COVID started, the federal government on every dollar, whether it was the PPE loans, the monies that were sent for emergencies, sent a formula with deadlines. Everything they've done, they've changed the formula in the middle of the stream and the deadlines. I had suggested we keep as much of a surplus as reasonable out of this money. At one point, we were, I think, recommending between $300,000 and $500,000. DGR is at 145,897. I get that. I'm fine. It sounds like, Mayor Murphy, that you're reducing that 145 even lower in half. I just going to say it again. The federal government will change the formula, and we may need that surplus to put into some direct city services.
Councilor Sullivan.
Yep. Thank you. I just want to point out, when we talk about the need for housing in Holyoke, we all know it's great, but the extra money for Habitat for Humanity for 2 houses, for one Holyoke CDC for 2 houses, and I am in complete agreement as far as Holyoke Housing Authority being able to find other sources of funds. Even there, we're talking about something right now with water and sewer that is desperately needed, that affects thousands of houses, tens of thousands of people, and our ability to even build new houses and attract new businesses. And the water and sewer problem is something that is going to be beneficial to generations and generations to come for the next 100 years, that has been neglected, seriously neglected, and is one of the biggest infrastructure problems we're facing in the city right now besides natural gas. So I think we need to direct as much or even more than what we've already set aside towards this problem. Not even to mention what we're talking about with sewer rate increases, which do not address the need for accelerated repair, replacement on the existing system.
Anyone further?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy.
I'm going to be as calm as I can. So if I took offense to your comments, Councilor Bartley, I apologize to you. But let me say, you're asking me to give you information that I'm getting. All of it, I held off submitting any recommendations because there was still more information coming in. At your behest, I put this out there, and yes, it got done at 5 o'clock. Should I have been doing it? Maybe I should have, but if I had done it before, it would have been a scenario without the knowledge of the additional money, which I just found out just before last weekend. So for me to be able to convey that, this is the first time I have a meeting where I can convey it. So I'm not quite sure what I should have done, but I've tried to be as open as possible. I've started a process for the 3.8 million, and I will say that Holyoke has the most open process in all of the ARPA funds out there. Go ask the people in Springfield, go ask the people in Chicopee. I mean, we've made it an open process. I've listened, I've been at every meeting. When's the last time a mayor's been at any of these meetings? I've listened, I've heard the concerns, I know the issues, I've tried to balance them, and that's exactly what I'll continue to do. I did not say that the DGR cut infrastructure. I just said I added to the infrastructure at the request of hearing many of the councilors and their concerns, and their valid concerns. But it's got to be a balance, in my opinion, a balance to make this community better, not just in infrastructure, but in health, in housing, economic development, and all the other aspects. And anybody that thinks I'm trying to eliminate funding for youth programs, clearly you haven't followed my 73 years of life, because nobody has done as much for kids in this city voluntarily as I have for the last 55 years. So I'm not trying to cut those programs. And you know I'm not trying to cut those programs. I'm trying to balance this to get the best improvements in the city of Holyoke that we can afford. And that 3.8 million additional allows that to happen. Thank you.
How old are you?
Thank you, Terry.
All right. No one online? Look, it's getting late. DGR committee members, city councilors, acting mayor / councilor, everyone did a lot of work on something that unfortunately keeps changing. That's the hard part. So it is frustrating. And I might be wrong on the number, but I'm trying to remember what it was. But of the 14 million, call it, that we have to spend, $80 million came in as a request. 80 million. Obviously, there's a lot of need, and that makes it hard for all of us to try and help everybody. DGR committee, the members, all the councilors, acting mayor, you did a phenomenal job. A lot of time, a lot of effort, and I get it. It's upsetting if one group doesn't get exactly what we think, but there's more funds coming in, as the mayor has just announced. I do believe everyone has said it as best as possible. Boys and Girls Club, there is a need down there. They're going to change their offices. I filed the order to have them come in because they were turning away 41 kids and have capacity. So we have to help there. Maybe the extra funds, it fits right in, and Councilor Murphy's trying to do stuff that's shovel ready. All noble. So I know we're getting tired. We're not going to take anything personal. It's just, let's keep going, because this thing's going to change again, unfortunately. And with that change comes maybe a way to fund something that didn't get funded, or, as he said, if there's something that changes tomorrow about not being shovel ready, we force it back. But I give the mayor a lot of credit. He has not missed a meeting. He has taken everything in, and I mean, he should be recognized for all that work. And, like I said, the full council. Councilor Anderson Burgos.
Thank you, Mr. President, for acknowledging me. First of all, Acting Mayor Murphy, thank you so much for everything you've done. I can't imagine how difficult it must be, but I'm constantly reminded that we're in the middle of a pandemic and that a lot of people are under pressure, and we are not acting normally, outside of a few, but we're not acting normally, and that I feel like I'm in a place where I need to express to everyone, not just the city council, but every single member of this community and even outside of this community, that we need to be more patient, more respectful, more understanding. We are all in different headspaces. We are all under a lot of stress, but I'm always challenged with reminding people that we are better together. The moment we disrespect one another and start calling out names and pointing out fingers, we're not going to get anywhere. We are Holyoke. We are better together. So please, for the love of God, have a little bit more patience. Find a little bit more comfort. Work together. I lost it a little bit earlier, but if you guys walked in my shoes, and I went down to Main Street not too long ago and I visited a business, and this business owner that's been there for years told me, city council and no one cares about us down here. And do you know how hard that is to hear this? As a city councilor, as a human being, to have a business, to have people feel like there's no way out. Again, we are better together. Let's make this community something that we can all be proud of. Stop the arguing, stop the hate, and just try to listen a little bit more, have a little bit more patience. I will pray for every single one of you out there. Thank you for hearing me.
Councilor Grady.
Yeah, Mr. President, I don't think anybody's trying to knock anybody for any of their service or anything else. I think that we all have priorities, and we just express our priorities. But nobody's trying to knock anybody or take anybody down. We all know everybody on this council has served the community for many, many years. And we work together. We do the best that we can. But we're not trying to knock anybody or beat anybody up. What we're trying to do is what we think is what's best for the community. That's all. So, you know, if it appears to be that way, that's not our intent. That's not my intent or anybody else's intent.
All right, so with 27A, motion would be to receive and adopt. Correct? I got that. All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes would have it. There is no charter and rules. There is no joint committee. So we're on to motions, orders, resolutions.
Mr. President, could I just make one more comment that relates to other information that I got today as well, that relates to some of the other programs that were originally part of the last page, and I don't know if you all have the original one where there were 5 programs that they were looking at CARES Act funding for. And so if I can, I just want to let you know the Community Roots, the Veterans Lunch Program at St. Paul's Church, the Holyoke Veterans Office, Veterans Transportation, the Holyoke Public Library, laptop lending and outdoor Wi-Fi hotspots, the Providence Ministries for the Needy, a mobile food bank truck, and Nueva Esperanza Food Distribution. CARES Act funds, they are eligible, and so what we have done is there's $10,000 that is going to go to the Veterans Lunch Program at St. Paul's Church, $30,000 to the Veterans Transportation, which is going to allow them to get a new vehicle rather than be leasing a vehicle, $43,689 for the Holyoke Public Library, $50,000 to get a new mobile food truck, which will try to go to the various neighborhoods in terms of providing food access, and $14,000 to Nueva Esperanza also in food distribution. So it's $157,689 from CARES Act money that we have to spend by December 31st. Those all are eligible, and there's going to be a letter that I'm going to be signing to do that. So I just wanted to let you all know that, because that was not part of the last document that we sent out.
Thank you very much. All right, so with that, we're on to motions, orders, resolution. If it's going to committee, don't debate it. So 30, and this one, Mike, if we need action, let me know. So this is from Councilor Sullivan, order that the City Council approve $18,000 in CPA funding for small grant programs. This will allow up to 6 or more small grants, none to exceed $3,000. Do you want to do that tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to receive and adopt.
Motion be receive, adopt. Councilor Sullivan.
Yeah, so this is one we approved last year also. We gave the CPA committee authority a budget of $18,000 to do small grants of up to $3,000 to allow them to do 6. They only did 2, I believe, last year. The other $12,000 remains in the CPA fund. So it's just an extension of the same program from last year that was successful.
All right, so any questions for Councilor Sullivan? If not, we'll have the clerk call the roll, and if you vote yes, you're voting for the expenditure of the $18,000 for small grants.
So it's not an expenditure.
Lisi?
Well, you know.
Yeah. All right.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
McGivern?
Yes.
Murphy?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tolman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Anderson Burgos?
Yes.
Bartley?
Yes.
Greenie?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Leahy?
Yes. Yes.
LeBron Martinez? 12 yeas.
For your vote, you approve that. 31 is from Councilor Vacan. Order that a legal opinion be provided that clarifies if a deed issued in 1960s for map 190, lot 30, Mountain Road, prior to an ordinance in 1970s pertaining to the aquifer recharge area in the Mountain Road area established requirements for a building lot is grandfathered and remains in legal binding. So motion be receive,
Should the law
send to
department?
legal. Do you want it to go to ordinance or do?
No, I would just like to refer it to legal to
get an
get an
opinion?
opinion back.
Second.
And if they can broaden it enough so that in other old deed situations where there was a subsequent ordinance, just so when these things come up, we have a context.
Okay, so motion be receive, adopt, send to legal to have them respond back.
To the council,
To the council,
please, with
the
a
full council.
communication?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, 32 is from Councilor Vacan. Order that amend the zoning ordinance to read, any home constructed in a residential zone shall be greater than 50% living spaces. A special permit from city council is required if the home construction will have 50% or less living space. Motion to
That needs to go to ordinance.
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 Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And I would just like to add that just recently, a building permit was issued for a home that is 80% garage and 20% living space. So that is why I filed this order, I've just never seen a house like that before. Thank you.
That's the ordinance. 33 from Councilor Vacan, order that the traffic calming measure be recommended by the city engineer for Bray Park Drive and access to the plaza. Install temporary speed humps and a traffic study.
Make a motion to DPW.
To receive and refer to DPW with a copy to maybe public safety?
So, yeah, so,
Or-
because you're gonna put the temps in, you can do that, so receive, adopt, copy to.
To the engineer and DPW.
Copy to the engineer, DPW, and copy to public safety to get the report back.
You need a petition too, don't you?
What?
Pardon?
Don't you need a petition?
No, it's temporary.
Not for temporary.
If it's permanent, you need the petition. So receive, adopt, send to engineering, DPW, and a copy to public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? 34 from Councilor Vacan, order that additional speed limit signs be posted on Homestead Ave, north and south of 202, to be determined by,
Ordinance.
so that'll go to
Second.
ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 35 from Councilor Anderson Burgos, order that the DPW install 2 blinking stop signs at the 3-way stop location of Claremont Ave and Hillside intersections. Motion be to receive, adopt, and send to DPW.
Just receive and adopt, if we can act on it today.
Yeah, so receive, adopt, send to
Yes,
DPW.
sorry, yes, that's what I meant, yep.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 36 is from Councilor Anderson Burgos, that the DPW superintendent provide the city council an update on the tree list. Oh, boy. Update should include trees and priorities that they have, so I'd say, want to send that to,
DPW?
So, I'd send that to public safety with a
Yeah.
copy to finance, if
Well-
that's okay?
how about send it to public safety? So receive, refer to DPW.
And copy,
enforcer.
and copy finance.
Yeah, copy finance, but send to public safety so we can get it and see what the cost will be.
Joe likes
Yep.
orders.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 37.
Mr. President, could we
Yes.
suspend our rules, take 37, 38, 50, and 51, put them in a package, abbreviated reading, ship them off to DGR?
Second.
Hey, how about that?
50, 51, all right. 37, 38, 50, 51, suspend rules, take up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 37 from Councilor Bartley, that the city accept the proposal to sell 122224 Main Street. 38 is from Councilor Bartley, order that the city accept proposals for 415, 417 Main Street. 50 is from Councilor LeBron Martinez, order that the council approve the resolution to Certified Housing Development Incentive Tax Program. 51 is from Councilor LeBron Martinez, order that the city council approve the resolution for the Canal Row LLC tax finance. All to DGNR. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Back to 39 from Councilor Bartley, that the law department provide the city council with an updated legal opinion regarding the city's supervisor association and included a minimum of the following, and there's a list of things. So this would be receive.
Yeah, I had several co-sponsors that didn't make the cut when it came
Oh,
to
well,
the whole finance committee for some reason that didn't, even though I put their names on it. But that's okay. So,
Do you want me to add them now?
I'll go on there, Dave.
yeah, I think the finance committee was on there, if I remember right.
Yeah, it
We
was.
all agreed that we wanted to do this, so Pete and Joe and Jim were on there. And then,
And Mike.
I just want to send it to the law department, and we might as well just send the copy back to the finance committee, and we can talk it out there, Joe. Is that all right?
Second. Sounds like a plan.
All right, so send to the law department.
Whatever we received tonight, too.
Yeah, and it says finance. So to finance with a copy of the law department to get the information. All those in favor?
All right.
All opposed? 40 from Councilor Bartley, the Public Safety and Ordinance Committee review the access road to the Peck School on the on-street parking.
Yeah, 40 and 42 to public safety and copy to DPW because we're going to
Second.
get their input.
All right, so 40, 42 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 40 is from Counselor Bartley. That was the access road for Peck School. And then 42 is due to concerns of Metcalf School ordinance, turn right only when existing in the parking area. So motion is to send to public.
Yeah, just under discussion, I don't want to send to ordinance yet because I want to get the input from DPW. Then once we get their input, then we can, if they say it should be redone, then we can ship it off to ordinance. But I'd rather just have, ordinance has got so many things going on. Let's just send it to public safety for now so we can talk it out there.
So 40, 42 to public safety and off to DPW, and then we'll get the report to see if it goes to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 41 is from Counselor Bartley. The access road leading to Peck should be given a name.
Yeah, where do we send name changes for?
DPW, I believe.
That was ordinance. Was it an ordinance for a name change?
I don't know where it
That was
goes.
DPW.
There's,
Or is it,
Public
does
hearing?
it go to DPW for a hearing?
I think it starts with the DPW before we can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the commissioners vote out. We did this before.
Yeah.
So
Boy.
41
A
to
little rare.
DPW.
Do we all know where this is? It's a little back road off of Chapin Street.
Off of
that leads
Chapin.
down into Peck.
There's no name to it?
We didn't have a name.
I didn't know
I
it was
didn't
a
be there
road.
last week. We didn't have a name to it.
Yeah, it might be not accepted way.
Well, there you go. But
They use it, yeah.
I said I thought a nice name would be like Teacher Way or something like that. I don't know what it was, but just something. We got to figure out a name for that thing because we were standing there. We didn't know how to refer to it. I had no idea.
You know what,
Well-
David? If I could through the chair?
Sure.
So we gave an address to Roberts Field so it could be used in the GPS, and I believe that we did send it to the commissioners of the Department of Public Works. They're the ones that got the ball rolling.
So that's what we'll
Copy
send it
that.
to. So we'll send it to
Councilor Leahy's right.
DPW commissioners
Yeah.
to start the process.
Start the
for
process.
41. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank
43 from Counselor Bartley. Order that the HPS now run two schools side by side on the west side of the Northampton Street between Hitchcock and Laurel Street.
Yeah.
And is now time for
Same thing as the
DPW.
other one, Ty. I missed that one. It's because you go to public safety and then we'll talk it out there.
All right, so 43 to public safety
And DPW copy.
and a copy of the DPW.
Thank you.
All
right.
those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? 44 from Counselor Hernandez, order that our city insurer to provide all Everbridge announcements in our constituents in both English and Spanish in an effort to improve access to essential services. So what are we looking to do here, Counselor Hernandez?
Well, right now, the way that it's being done, it's not really consistent. Some of the messages are going out in both languages by people volunteer, like I volunteer, and I've seen that the school department has someone that does it in Spanish and English, but not all of the messages go out in both languages, and that doesn't, allow, it's not a good communication, effective with the people that do not speak English in this town. So I would like to see that there's a procedure put in place that is discussed with all the departments and see how can we get all of the messages that are sent out in both languages. I know
Right,
that I have
thanks.
discussed this with Councilor Murphy, and you were going to sign up with me, right?
Well,
On this
Counselor
one?
Murphy.
yeah, if I
Counselor
can.
Murphy.
I met last, and Jeffrey, correct me if I'm wrong again, their days are running together, but I met last week with the people from Transfluency, and you met with her as well, with this idea in mind. So they are going to submit a proposal to me regarding making sure all the stuff on the website that needs to be translated will be translated. Any documents that departments are sending out that need to be translated would also be, and they're going to give me an estimate as to what that might cost. I did meet with her last week. I know we had talked a little bit about this. I didn't know you were filing an order, but I knew you were talking about it. So, and I think it's a valid point. We have an opportunity when we send things out if a significant portion don't understand it. And Transfluency does do that as well. And she did indicate, I haven't seen a contract yet. I'm expecting a contract sometime this week as far as a proposal would be concerned. And the time frame seemed to be relatively quick. Once we agree to it and agree to what the contract would be, that they would be able to pretty much maintain that. We would send them the English translation, they would send it back in Spanish, and it would be able to get loaded either onto the printout or onto the website.
I'll send this to finance, so when that report comes in, you can take it up in finance.
That'd be fun.
Councilor McGarren?
Or send it to the mayor. Send it
Yes,
to the mayor.
I would be happy to accept it.
So, Councilor Bartley?
Just on discussion to the to the acting mayor, Terry. What do we do about on the TV channels for 12 and 15? Do we, if there's a snow emergency, do we put them in both languages, or what do we do?
I know the replays were in Spanish on Channel 12. The English replay was on Channel 15, so I do know that. And as far as I understand, and
well, I just meant for emergencies. I know we do that for the meetings.
Okay.
But this is, I think this.
Oh, in terms of putting
this
the
is-
announcement out?
This is for EventBridge if there's an emergency, right? So do we do something like that on emergencies for on the TV station? Do we put them in?
Yeah, and that's I have to ask. I don't know the answer to that. That would be a good idea though to put it on there since it's flashing. We could have emergency information on there. So let me check on that.
Terry, we always have good ideas, you and I. So so that would be great if we could just consider that.
Okay, so we'll send this to 44 to finance, then get an update after that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 45 from Councilor Hernandez. At the crosswalk.
President?
Yep.
I would like to suspend the rules to take it up as a package because they all have to do with, so it would be 45, 46, 47, and 48.
Okay.
They all have to do with, signs and traffics, and I think does that go to public safety?
Yep, so let me do a abbreviated.
Sure.
So first, suspended rules take up 45, 46, 47, and 48 as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 45 is the Hamden Street next to the Stop and Shop. We're looking at the crosswalk, and there's mostly important for a blind resident is missing essential functions in order to deal with that crossing. So that would be public safety to look at that. 46, Clinton to White Street. The corner needs a crosswalk or a light. So that would go to public safety and then probably recommendation to have something installed. And then the intersection of West Franklin and Linden has a crosswalk that is ignored and it's a dangerous situation. So that'd be public safety. And 48 is to study right turning lane on Hamden, right turning only onto Pleasant.
Yes.
So send those to public safety first to have the engineer, we'll look at it and then we'll get a report to see if we have to redo signage.
Sure.
All those, so all those to public safety, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 49 from Council Leahy that the police department and the superintendent receiver of public schools add video surveillance to Hoyoke High Roberts Field complex.
Received, adopt, and if I could make a friendly amendment.
Yep, so what's the amendment?
Just remove some of the language. The last sentence also, the brand new scoreboard was vandalized as well. I was told that day that it was vandalized by the receiver, but later I found out it was actually a vendor's truck that drove into it.
All right, so striking from also to the end of the sentence, striking that language. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So 49 as is, motion is to receive, adopt, send to Hoyoke Police and the school department.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 52. From myself, that the preliminary election for the city of Hoyoke shall be Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. Polls will be open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m., of which then we have 53, which would be all the polling locations. So take 52 and 53 as a package.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
The motion would be to receive and adopt for the primary.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
54 is from myself that the city council meeting for September 21st be rescheduled because it's obviously the primary. So motion would be to just not have the meeting on the 21st.
On discussion?
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, obviously it can't be the 21st, but I mean, I wouldn't
put it on pause till the first meeting in October. It's just gonna get all backed up again, so I hope we can maybe meet the 22nd if that works for everybody. And just-
I want to do it the day after the election. That's trying to get the clerk's office up to speed on after doing an election.
Okay.
Maybe.
23rd?
I like the 23rd, just to keep the train rolling. Or is it-
Thursday, right?
I agree.
Yeah, but
Counselor Grady has
but Thursdays are tough nights for political events. So Thursday we kind of don't do that. So
I have a fundraiser on the 23rd.
So there's one answer. So, I mean,
With the 28th.
what's the 28th? Is that Tuesday?
well, you probably got ordinance. So.
How about the 20th? Would that be a problem, the day before?
There's no other meetings. It might be, I don't know.
Or we just
What about the
play it by ear.
20th?
You could call a special meeting if needed.
I don't think the 20th is a bad idea because it won't be a long meeting. But that's me.
Counselor.
I think we've learned in the past, we have to skip the 21st. We go to the 28th. That's 1 week before the 5th.
Right.
And it'll help in terms of, bridging the gap between now and the 21st. But then we'll have nothing to do on the 5th. And now it's going to tie up dates for finance and ordinance and EGR and committees, dates that we need for what's incoming in a minute.
28th.
So I suggest just have a special meeting if we need it.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we'll cancel the 21st. I'll sit with Mayor Murphy and see what we can do to have a special meeting and work out a date. Counselor Bartley.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, and respectfully, I would just rather set the date and just have it on the 20th. If there's not just if the administrative assistant tells me something scheduled that day, then fine, we can't do it. But the 20th, even if we just met at 7 o'clock for an hour, just to keep this thing going, because otherwise we're going to get jammed up. I don't really want a special meeting.
Counselor Sullivan.
Yeah, I would agree it'd be beneficial to get a date set tonight, then other people would have something in mind and we'd be able to go ahead and schedule other events and make other plans. Right now, we just don't know.
I make a motion, we move the 21st meeting to the 20th.
Second.
So, Counselor Murphy, you have your hand up or no? Oh, okay. Counselor McGivern.
We've also had discussions about this with the city clerk, and doing our meeting the night before an election doesn't work either.
Yeah.
It's not just the city council that has connections here.
Business.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
so there is a motion first, and it was seconded to go to the 20th. So, all those in favor?
Aye. Say aye.
All those opposed?
No.
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 Say the ayes. The noes have it.
Well,
I'm just going. We're going in order here as to
Yeah.
try and figure out a date.
What's next?
I mean,
What about
some discussion.
so the
Mr.
20
President,
the 28th was mentioned? Was that a
Well, it's gonna
That's
be an
a
ordinance
public
meeting.
hearing night.
public hearing? Okay, just
an ordinance.
just trying to catch up on all of them.
What, the
Yeah.
27th?
EGR.
Oh, we do have a meeting that night? Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that, yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
Counselor Sullivan has the floor.
Can I make a motion we hear from the city clerk to see if the 20th would cause a problem in council chambers here?
So motion is suspend rules to ask the clerk. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I mean, I can be there. It's a long day. We set up 14 polling precincts that day. We leave City Hall whenever everything's all done, and we're back at City Hall at 4:45 a.m. the next morning. So just hopefully it wouldn't be a late night for us.
I promise.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone further?
I mean, so I'm going to renew the motion to have it for the 20th.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is to look to the 20th for our rescheduled meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
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 Noes would have it. Unless you want show of hands, but noes seem to have it.
Yeah, no, they don't want to have it. Just listen, do what you want to do. But I mean, do we need the clerk? I mean, she can have her take the night off. I mean, what's the difference?
So
Well,
first,
I'll do the tally. I'll volunteer to do the tally that night.
All right.
so here we are.
There you go.
So here we
That can make you
are.
happy?
We're back to agenda.
There's a lot more to it than just taking
I
a
know
tally,
that,
just
but
so you know.
I understand.
Because then all the paperwork needs to be done the next day, and I'm running an election the next day too.
All right.
Just to
On the
clarify
next
that.
motion, Todd.
All right, so first is agenda item 54, the city council meeting for the 21st is in essence canceled because of the primary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 55, order, it's from myself, that the position for the professional accountant that has been budgeted for the auditor position be assigned to a grade 10, Schedule A. So this is going to go to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 56, order that the law department draft a home rule petition to file
Legal.
with the legislature. So this is going to go to charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 57 is from Councilor McGivern.
I
This
can make a motion to suspend the rules and take 57, 58, 59, 60, 62, 63,
Second.
64 as a package to finance.
Second.
Second.
All right, so suspend the rules, take up 57 to 64 minus 61. 57, so on the motion to suspend, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 57 is a state plan for library services grant. 58 is the CRCC PVPC grant. 59 is the Arson Watch Reward Program grant. 60 is the Commonwealth Security Trust Fund grant. 62 is a transfer of $125,000 from various line items to overtime. 63 is $149,076 to different line items. 64 is a request of $600 for the solicitor's office for professional services. All those are going to finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 61. This is our standard one now. Order that the city council hereby appropriates $61,993.88 from Lieutenant Sergeant's patrol to injured on duty, of which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 5.
Motion to suspend the rules for purpose of passing the first reading and adoption.
Motion is to receive, adopt, pass the first reading. Under discussion, Councilor McGivern.
It's the annual, it's the bi-weekly, I guess, vote of moving money from salary accounts into injured on duty accounts. Most of it's for temporary periods of time for public safety officers who have been hurt on duty.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. 7/20/21, 8/5/21, 8/19/21, with all the different accounting adding up to that grand total. So this is the standard accounting of moving from one item to the injured on duty. Motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to pass the second
Motion
reading.
passed the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the transfer.
Lisi,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes. Yes.
Graney,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Leahy,
Yes.
LeBron Martinez. 12 yeas.
May your vote, you approve that?
Mr. President?
Yep. Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, just to get back to our previous discussion, so as of now, we haven't set a meeting? You're just
No.
going to call a special meeting if we need to?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
65,
Make a motion to be
from
referred to
Councilor
Public
Murphy,
Service Committee.
that the Public Safe Service Committee interview for the tax collector. Councilor Murphy.
Service?
Yeah, just, I mean, we sent out, or we advertised it, and we went through with Kate Chakowski all the requirements. The one thing that we first sent out that we didn't do was make it a Holyoke resident. So we had 48 resumes that came in. I believe 4 or 5 are Holyoke residents, so obviously that's based on what we have to do, that is where we need to go. So I would, you know, I do know they are in dire need of someone to, in effect, run the office and add that extra person. So I just would encourage us to move on that as quickly as we can. I know there are 4 Holyoke residents, and I believe there might be a 5th, but I haven't seen that one yet.
Councilor McGivern.
Mr. President, it's the Holyoke City Council that advertises for the tax collector, and yes, the position requires residency, but that also is the leeway. You'll be hiring someone and giving them a period of time to become a resident. So we should just go forward with the applicants, and we can't, you know, limit the best choice to just someone who's a current resident, but maybe we can attract someone to be a resident.
Yep, that's true. They can move into the city to fill the requirement.
Okay, then we do have 48 applications.
Okay.
We can ask the personnel director to look at the list in terms of meeting qualifications and narrow some of that down, but sharing all the resumes with us.
All right, so with that, we'll send this to public service.
Mr. President, just through the chair to the acting mayor.
Sure, yep.
Terry, how many applications we have?
48.
Did you say
48.
48?
Yep.
Yep.
It's the most ever.
Yep.
Right, Dave? It's a good amount. That's a good number.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
We never had that many.
Okay.
All right, so 65 to public service. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 66 from Councilor Murphy, that a study to address the possible right turn on Hamden right turn only onto Pleasant.
That actually was.
I think that was.
I was signing on that with Councilor Hernandez.
Oh, okay.
Well, they made
that
it
should have
as.
been a separate one.
So how about 66?
And-
Give leave to withdraw.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
All
fine.
those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, I if I could sign on with Councilor Hernandez in that order. Councilor McGivern might notice, and Councilor Lay, years ago we tried to do this on Hamden and Pleasant Street, and Ward 4 councilor called Mr. Jack Lecca. Remember him, Joe? We tried that, and it seemed like in the beginning it was working, but those 2 lanes up there, it might be a difficult thing. But I just like to sign on. I give you a little bit of insight in what went on at that time.
I thought we did it.
No, it never worked. We never, you know, because of the way the traffic goes up there, then it goes into 1 lane.
Yeah, it merges.
Afterwards, yeah, after the intersection.
Yeah, but I don't remember ever having a right turn there because you got traffic coming over.
No, I mean,
Pleasant
I really think we adopted it, and it just never took place.
Yeah.
All right, so that, I signed both on to.
Yeah.
Caught up there. 67 from
refer
Councilor
to
Murphy.
Ordinance Committee.
So this is order that the ordinance committee meet regarding the application process and permitting process for Holyoke. That goes to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
68, 69, and 70 also go to ordinance, but
68.
if I may comment, please.
Hold on 1 second. 68, 69, 70, motions to take up as a package. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 68, order that the city file a home rule petition with Rep. Duffy and Velas for the Holyoke Police Department Authority. 69 is order that the ordinance be established to prohibit gas stations from selling gas to illegal dirt bikes. 70, order that the ordinance establish municipal fines for illegal operation of dirt bikes. Councilor Murphy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So we had a meeting in the mayor's office with Mayor Sarno and police from and representative and Councilor Ramos, as well as Mayor View and their police in Chicopee and Councilor, oh man, and I know the name, and it's a lot of blank. And one of the councilors, and I'm very apologetic if you're listening. Basically, every community is having a problem with these dirt bikers. In fact, as I was coming here back to this meeting, I saw someone that was causing problems. One of the goals of the home rule petition would be that those bikes that are illegal bikes and are confiscated could be destroyed. And that's one of the home rule petitions that would be considered. Everybody and all the police are trying to work together and create a task force. We want the public input. You know where these illegal bikes are. You know, they have worked, and then they kind of picked them up as they've left their homes or whatever the case might be, and they don't want to get in a speed chase, obviously, but we need to do something. And the goal of the three communities, and I'm hearing that there are other communities that are going to probably want to sign in on this, is that we all do the same thing. We have the same enforcement, so they're not saying, well, they're enforcing something in Springfield, so let's go to Holyoke or Chicopee. Or they're enforcing in Holyoke, so let's go to the others. And we're all trying to work cooperatively. All of us realize that it's a safety issue, it's a quality of life issue, it's a nuisance issue. So I'm hoping that we can all, I know Chicopee City Council was reviewing these tonight. I know Springfield is still reviewing them. And I know Representative Duffy was at the meeting and Senator Vilas wanted to be at the meeting. They were all in favor of helping us file the home rule petition. So, it is a safety issue and a nuisance issue, and hopefully we can at least reduce the threat and the inconvenience. So I appreciated Mayor Sarno and Mayor View and everybody that came. It was a pretty solid meeting.
So all those to ordinance.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 71 from Councilor Murphy, or that the city council work with the mayor to establish an ordinance for raising flags in the city.
71 and 72 also go to ordinance.
And 72, order that the city council work with the mayor to establish formalizing procedures for street closings. So both of those to ordinance.
Both of those to ordinance.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 73 from Councilor Murphy, order that the DGR committee meet with the Soldiers Memorial Commission, Veteran Services Director, Superintendent of DPW, as well as the state senator and representative to discuss maintenance of the War Memorial Building. So
yeah, this will go to DGR.
DGNR.
I can just make one comment.
Yep.
I mean, the goal here, and I want to make sure that it's not misunderstood. I know the Soldiers Memorial Commission by state law is in charge, but they are also part-time, and we're having a hard time getting administration and maintenance and finances in order. And so I know we had a meeting with Representative Duffy and Senator Vilas, the Veterans Office. I want to make sure the Soldiers Memorial Commission gets involved in this. And our goal is just to make sure that, number one, we maintain the War Memorial to its best facility and do it with having someone basically full-time in charge, so that we're not, things are being passed over that we could have been doing. So that's the goal. And to do this, it would require a change in state law as well. So we would need to invite the representative and the senator in as well.
So that's to DGNR. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We do have a few late files. A, from Councilor Hernandez, order that the ordinances be updated to reflect Columbus Day will now be Indigenous Day.
For the Committee on Ordinance.
Ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. President,
Yeah, Councilor
I
Hernandez.
wanted to have a quick discussion. I mean, I tried to make sure that wasn't filed late, but either way, I thank Attorney Ball for helping. But this resolution was already passed and adopted. So the ordinance change is just a formality in order to allow City Hall employees to get paid for the day off. Right now, they're getting paid off as Columbus Day. And so basically, if we can, and there's already legal language for it. So I was gonna propose that it be laid on the table so all my colleagues can take a look at the legal language, and then maybe we can vote on the next meeting?
You can't.
No?
No.
Okay.
Item Rule 36. No ordinance shall be adopted, amended, or deleted by the City Council until it has been first referred to the Standing Committee on Ordinances.
Okay.
So it has to go to ordinance as part of our rules.
Okay. Although it was discussed, so we're gonna discuss it again there?
Right. What was discussed and approved by the council was the resolution. Now this is an ordinance change, which requires it to go to ordinance as a first procedure.
Okay. And then it comes back out to the full City Council?
Yep.
And then, so can I have another question? When the voting takes place, is it gonna be the 7 votes or the 9 votes?
9.
9.
I think it'd be.
Everything.
Looks
Nine.
like 9. Based on that legal opinion, it'd be 9 now.
9. 9 votes, okay, for it to pass. Because I thought that if it wasn't zoning, that it was 7.
Yeah, I thought if it's not, it's only 7, but that legal opinion after we're discussing it tonight is saying it needs 9.
It's 9, okay.
We'll follow up with the legal department on it and
Well, if they changed their mind after tonight, that's just like it's.
oh, I know. Look at, hey, we'll
We have a copy of this to legal too to
yeah.
make us sure we understand that we can do this by ordinance.
So
It's a federal holiday, right?
A, 2, ordinance with a copy to legal. B and C are, oh wait, so B is the language for changing it, so that would also have to go to ordinance. So B also goes to ordinance. C is a handicap access egress for 121st Street. So all right, so A and B, 2 ordinance with a copy to legal would be the best way to try and get this resolved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? C is 120 Front Street. It has, it's a lease agreement. So that would go to, did leases go to finance or DGNR? I forgot.
DGR.
DGNR. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? D is a transfer. So Councilor McGivern is looking to move money, just no kidding.
Is it finance?
It's finance. It's $1,291 for the city solicitor office. To finance, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? E is from Councilor Hernandez that the DPW Police Department provide an update agreement when the Dunkin' Donuts was built near Eddie's Furniture. So here,
What kind of update?
Well, if
for
I may,
allowing their street deliveries and large cargo vans to have access and clearance to enter the exit safely. As it stands now, there's handwritten no parking signs posted on cones.
Okay, send to DPW,
Yes.
please.
that's what's going on there, and they reached out to me that they were having difficulties with their trucks and that they had come here to the city council and they said that they were going to have those parking spaces like reserved, so they wouldn't encounter this problem, and so people are taking those cones out. So I'm thinking, can they come and update us and see what can be done so this
Also-
business can operate successfully?
Public service?
Public safety.
Safety.
Okay, I say, how about receive, send to DPW, police, and then to public safety, and we'll invite in the owners of Eddie's Furniture.
All right.
We haven't before on this,
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
when it was first coming in. Councilor Tallman.
yeah. Could I be added on to that order? I'm familiar with the area and with Eddie's Furniture and them, the family there and everything. And for a while there, it was being taken care of with the parking. There was parking for the trucks. And when they brought the whole thing about Dunkin' Donuts, they were going to try to, well, at times they'd slow up traffic on Hampton, but they would back the big tractor trailers in there,
Right.
which is sometimes is difficult. But they were parking in the street with those spots that were no parking, and then they would walk the furniture in. So that can be difficult, but I'd be
Right.
happy to talk to them. I know the family and be happy to help out with that.
That
Good to
would
have
be
you
great.
back, Councilor
Thank you so
Soto.
much. Maybe some like permanent signs or something would be great, you know, or
You'd have,
some, you
We'll
know.
have to
I
have-
could.
yeah.
I would want a neighborhood meeting because there's a new restaurant going in there as well, and
That's right.
limited parking is,
Yeah.
well, we could discuss this in committee.
All right, so Councilor Graney.
I just had a question about an incident on the way down here that I just wanted to ask.
Yep.
We're coming down to the meeting tonight, 6:30, I guess it was. And I'm going down, it was the white, just past the light where Linden Street comes over. And there were 2 young men on bicycles. I don't know if they're dirt bikes or what they were, but they were like doing wheelies.
Yeah.
They were up on the back, and they came right at my car. I had to swerve out of the way not to hit them. So I don't know if that's a dirt bike problem or if that's a regular bike problem, but I mean, I could have hit those 2 kids, they would have been dead.
It might be the dirt bike issue, but that's something that I think will be taken up under Councilor Murphy's order.
Just have a question because it was a dangerous situation. I was kind of shook after it, you know.
And if I can,
Councilor
real
Murphy.
quick, at that meeting we had, that actually came up with on regular bikes as
Yes.
well, that there are younger kids now that have seen the people on the dirt bikes, and they're now doing it on their regular bikes and harassing drivers and doing things. So we are trying to address both of those.
In committee.
So these two kids, they were on the back. I could never do that. They were on the back wheel.
Yep.
And they were like moving the thing, and they come right at the car. I had to swerve out of it.
Yep.
So we'll be taking those up.
All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, so E is from Counselor Hernandez, adding Counselor Tallman regarding the Dunkin' Donuts, so that would be sending to, we said what?
I'd say public safety.
Public safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? F is the Massachusetts Libraries Board of Library Commissioners is offering a grant in the amount of $50,000 to the
Finance.
local
Finance.
So that's the finance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? G, the last one. I promise.
G.
The Hoyoke CPA Annual Budget, Article 2022. And this is an update on all the appropriations, correct?
EG&R?
So send that to finance or
Up to you, Mike.
to EG&R?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take it up.
All right, so
There
to
should be one
to
more there.
DG&R.
All right.
All those in favor?
Two more.
All opposed?
Mr. President, there should be one more there, because I filed the.
Two more.
There should be one for another person on the Citizens Advisory Council, Willie Spradley. I know it was brought to the office like at 2:30, and I'm trying to make sure I get as many of those into your committee, Jim.
So it might have gotten stuck in the pile.
Okay.
So G, we'll call that one H, and can you just tell me what it was?
Yeah, it's a nomination of Willie Spradley, Spradley, to the Citizens Advisory Council. Second.
And what's the last one? You said there was two.
No, I think Councilor Lisi said there was another
Counselor
one.
Lisi, was there one?
Yes, I have one. It says, did you get it?
I don't have, is there an email to you or? Who'd you send it to?
I did send it to you, Todd, so maybe, I'll send it to Jeffrey as well.
When was it? Was
So
it sent earlier?
I believe
today?
that this is late file I.
Okay, and just the gist of it so I can,
Yeah, I'll read it into the record if you like.
yeah.
It's simply that we change our rules to pass ordinances other than zone changes by a simple majority. Receive and send to charter and rules.
All right, so H was the nomination. This is a charter and rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion is to adjourn. All those in
moved.
favor? All opposed? Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.